Hello. All right. Yeah, so we'll put that. Oh. Open up the window. It's like, let's see, what's the temperature outside right now? I love it. Let's go. Let's see here. So it is. Come on. Gee, you fucking. 21 degrees feels like 13. Let the air come in. Whew. What up? What up? Thanks for pulling up. Got 6 people in here. That's actually, I didn't realize how awesome the weather was in the Bay Area, man. Never really got colder than probably 40. Never got hotter than like 85. No humidity, no bugs. Oh. I just know this. I would growing up in Michigan, I'd much rather play in Lambeau in December than Miami in August. Heck nah, dude. The heat sucks. It was just 42 in Vegas. It might have went up. Vegas. It's the humidity, man. That humidity is just a mother. I'm glad it's raining in Oakland right now. What up, Raider Fountain? Actually, if anybody does anybody want to pull up? Does anybody want to come on? Here, I'll put the link. There's a link if any. I work 2 at the park. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Dude, are you working right now? Dude, come on up and talk about it. I'd love to hear about the Port of Oakland. I remember we had a here actually. Here, actually, I have a little clip of me when we did a little partnership with the Port of Oakland. Oh, here, let me eject this. One of those big old cranes that are picking up all the trailers and stuff. Here, let me see. I'm under OE now. Oh, you're drinking Old English on the job? Okay, I see you. Hold on. Oh, wow. I went right to it. That's pretty weird. Here, hold up. Let me go here. Let me go share. Share screen. Hold on. Who is it? What the hell? Under a crane. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see where we're at. Where are we at here? What? Okay. Rain. Okay. It's 41 here in Mojave Desert. Okay, Alfredo. Yeah, it's 43 right now in Vegas. Okay. Port of Oakland. 12 said, who's 12? So I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. I think the rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into. Yeah, no, you're right. And sometimes, it gets to the point where you can't. It takes like a complete overhaul, and unfortunately, I think we're kind of too late for that. The era is what it is, and yeah. Jaden Daniels. Let me look at that. Oh, hold on. Okay, so Heisman Trophy power rankings, week 13. Jaden Daniels makes Heisman case. Oregon's Bo Nix. And LSU's Jaden Daniels. 6'4". So he was at Arizona State. San Bernardino, California. MVP of the Sun Bowl, Vegas Bowl, and Citrus Bowl. Shoot. Hold on, let me see. Let me pull up a couple highlights of this dude. Okay. God, he's so skinny though. Well, he definitely has all of his celebrations practice and freaking Kirk Morrison's dad. Wait, where are we at here? Hold on. 12 said gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. Forgive me. Gotta help me. Had a lot of brain trauma. 12 said, I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. I think the rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game. Okay. But yeah, I mean, definitely. But I even just not necessarily the game itself, just the players. Their blase blah kind of attitude. After the game, everyone's all friends and buddy, and we don't want to hurt anybody, and we want to, it's my brother, and da 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 da. Yeah, I get that. Again, you do things legally. If you can still be a bad mother, while playing within the rules of the game. Those are the baddest ones. The guys that are out there knocking dudes out and making people scared to play them, not because they're doing dirty plays or things after the whistle or this type of stuff. Going, holy smokes, this guy is a killer out there and he's playing within the rules. Oh, hey. Thank you, Milka Beezy. Gotcha. With Jaden Daniels. Okay, well, let me hear. Hold on. I'm just looking at Jaden Daniels here. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, he's okay. Okay. God, he puts a lot of air under the ball, though. Puts a lot of that thing's. I mean, he's got touch, but in the league, man, you got to have some zip on that bad boy. Because if you put too much air underneath it, the safeties, it's just too much time. Too much time. There's a nice throw. I'm just gonna say this, guys. I'm not into the running quarterbacks. I'm not into it. I'm into the mobile quarterbacks, the Mahomes, the guys who can use their athleticism to create more time in the pocket to get guys open, to avoid sacks. But the running, here's the deal. If I want someone to run the ball, I'm going to hand off to a running back who's getting paid to be a running back, who has gotten their NFL drafted in the NFL because they know how to handle the ball and take hits and not fumble. A quarterback running it, are you half quarterback? You half running back? I want a quarterback. If I want someone to run the ball, I'm going to give it to my running back or a receiver or a tight end. If I want to throw the ball, I'm not going to give it to a tight end on a reverse to throw it. I'm going to give it to my quarterback. So if he's able to sit in the pocket, okay. But if we're running the option and shit, I'm good, man. I'm good. Oh, man. Kirk Morrison, man. That's my dude, man. That is my dog. Kirk Morrison is my guy. His mother and my mother were very good friends. I remember they'd go to like a Jamaican or jazz club in downtown Oakland when she'd visit. Kirk lived right behind me. I still talk to Kirk every week. One of my closest friends, one of my greatest teammates. You talk about a Raider? That's a Raider. And if any dancing he was doing, he was just getting hyphy. And I'm completely cool with the hyphy movement. This face and ghost riding and that type of shit, like Beast Mode used to do. I'm cool with that, but not this, not whatever these other guys are doing, man. That's bro, there's just as men, there's just certain things you don't do, man. I don't care if that's chauvinistic or whatever. It's just, especially as a football player. Well, I don't get caught up in the hype with this. You know, his balls. Pause. His foot when he passes it, there's a lot of air underneath it, and if he's running, I'm telling you, I don't want my quarterback running. He's not. You're not used to running. You're gonna in the league, dude. You are gonna again. Lamar Jackson. He's a great athlete. This and that, but fumbles it a lot, and he gets injured. He's just not built. In the pros, it's a different game, man. In college, you can get away with that. I'm not. Hey, what's going on, Gord? Thank you, Micah Beasy. We're like Ray Lewis is a nice dude, but yes. Thank you. Yes. You have to be a sociopath. You do. You have to be able to, when you put on that helmet and on that field, you have to want to hurt as a defensive guy. To be a defensive player, you have to have the mindset of, I want to destroy you. I want to, within the rules of the game, I want to put you out of the game. I want you to be scared, and I want you to look around and have to find out where I am. I want you thinking about me. I want you to know when you're going, oh, we play the Raiders this week. That's a whole type of mind game. That's a part of the game, man. Like Kelsey trying to like rip guy, like he's some tough guy, but yet, he's on things talking about Taylor Swift and how many games he wins when Taylor's there and when she's not there. And now it's Taylor Swift and this NFL dude. Nah, bro. Who are you, man? You're too Hollywood, and you're Travis Kelce that plays for Kansas City. Like, who do you think you are? You're a tough guy? Like, come on, man. Come on. Let's see, Kelce. 34 years old. Travis Kelce is an American football player, Kansas City Chiefs. I always used to like dude, he's from Westlake, Ohio. Played at Cincinnati. He's a Midwestern dude. He's not some Hollywood guy. Come on. Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Considered a 2-star recruit out of high school from Rivals.com. Kelce accepted a scholarship offer from the University of Cincinnati over offers from Akron, Eastern Michigan, and Miami of Ohio. I mean, he's a guy. He's a Midwestern guy. He's not some freaking whatever he thinks he is. 2 years ago, he ran 4.5. He might be faster now. But dude, Oakland Raider, do you how many mobile quarterbacks make out in the NFL? Honestly. I'm not talking about there's forgive me, let me rephrase this. Running quarterbacks where you have plays set up in the run game consistently for your quarterback. Make it. There are mobile quarterbacks. Steve Young, great mobile quarterback, right? Michael Vick, right? But he ran when he needed to. They might run some QB draws and stuff, but to try to have a quarterback that is running option and this type of stuff, do you want that? Is that what you want? Because I don't. If I want a quarterback, I want a quarterback. I want a quarterback. How often does Jalen Hurts run in the NFL? Let's look. Let me look. Jalen Hurts stats. Let's go. Here you go. So in 2020, he had 63 career carries for 354 yards, averaging 5.6 yards per carry. Fumbled it 6 times, lost it 2. His next season, 139 carries for 784 yards, 5.6, 10 touchdowns, long 31, fumbled it 4 times, lost 1. Next year, 165, 760. I don't know if I consider that I mean, he's a mobile quarterback, but that's okay. That's about the extent of what I want. Let me look at so here, let me pull up Lamar Jackson stats. Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson, you're looking at about 150 carries per season, 1,200, 1,100 yards. Look at this. Fumbles in his rookie year, 10. Fumbled the ball 8 times, 5 times, 4 times, 4 times. See, the less he runs, the years are going down. Now he's getting about 112 rushing attempts per season, 574 rushing yards. Fumbled it only 5 times. He's had 36 fumbles in his career. I mean, QB rating, he's never been higher than 83. His rookie year, 42, 56. Here's how here's Jalen Hurts' QB ratings up where a QB should be, 77, 87, 101 in 2022, 94 last year. His average QB rating in his whole career, 92.9. He's had 18 fumbles. In his career, 481 carries in 56 games, averaging 4.8 yards per carry. Lamar. Oh, forgive me. Wait. No, that was wrong. No. Because Lamar has a pretty good QB rating, actually. Rating and QB, RTG and then QBR. What's the difference? But he's got like 400 more carries in his career than Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of damage on your body, man. Well, hold on. I know you're on Jaden Daniels. Hold on. Jaden Daniels. Stats. So when Jaden Daniels was at Arizona State, here, let me pull up McCarthy. Okay. So let's see. Jaden Daniels, 6'4", 210. His first 3 years at Arizona State, the most yards he threw for. So at Arizona State, they went 8-4, 2-2, 8-5. He's never thrown for over 3,000 yards. His last year at Arizona State, he threw 10 touchdowns and 10 interceptions in his junior year. J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy, his junior year, 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. His sophomore year, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's only been a starter for two. He went 12-1 and 12-0. He hasn't thrown for over 3,000 yards either. And see, his sophomore year, he rushed 70 times for 306 yards, 5 touchdowns. I'm cool with that. Look at his QB rating. QB rating, 155 his sophomore year and 176 his junior year. Jay Daniels, 145 his sophomore year, 136. Okay. But, I mean, you look at touchdowns. Freshman year, he had a pretty good, started all 12 games, 17 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. 125 rushes for 355 yards and 3 touchdowns. So right now for LSU, 3,112, 9-3. How many years can this guy play? He's doing, he's having a great year. No, Jaden Daniels is having a great year. Almost 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. But again, he should be in his second year in the NFL, and he's still in college at 23. J.J. Abrams McCarthy's 2 years younger than him. So I'm only comparing the stats. From their freshman, sophomore, and junior years. So right now, McCarthy. Again, I'm looking at Daniels. 10 touchdown, 10 interceptions, 2,000 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns. McCarthy, 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 3 rushing touchdowns. I guess that's all I mean, college and high school, that's all right. But in the NFL, I mean, again, Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal athlete, but do you want your quarterback taking those freaking shots, man? No. It's great to know when the passing tree breaks down or it's a coverage sack, your quarterback can get out of it and make something happen. But specifically designed, I mean, you can have a couple designed runs. That's okay, but to have it be a big staple in your offense, I don't know. Yeah. 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 I just don't like a QB who sits no, I'm not saying well, I mean, Peyton Manning wasn't too bad. Tom Brady wasn't too bad. Drew Brees could run a little bit. Brett Favre couldn't run. Those guys were pretty good quarterbacks. Troy Aikman. I mean, who else? Steve McNair wasn't a huge scrambler, but he could run when he needed to. Rich Gannon, he wasn't a huge scrambler. I prefer a QB who escapes the pocket when pressure comes rather than a pocket sitter who takes sacks, but I'm fine with a pocket sitter who has – well, again, here's the thing that you have – there's a give and take on both, right? There isn't – you're not going to have a 6'6", Justin Herbert that's also mobile like Lamar Jackson. You're not going to have it. I just know for me as a quarterback, I'm taking Justin Herbert over Lamar Jackson. I am. Justin Fields is a good quarterback, though. Actually, pulling up Justin Fields. How often does he run? He doesn't run that much. His rookie year, 72 times. He ran a lot his second year, 160 for 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, 9 fumbles. 2023, he's rushed 77 times for 400 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 fumbles, 1 loss. So he's not. I mean, he is. I would say he'd be similar to like a Jalen Hurts. He's a quarterback first. He's a quarterback first. Well, you know what? I want to see. I didn't get a chance to finish the video of Jayden Daniels. Let's see here. So Jayden Daniels makes history, 606 yards and 5 touchdowns in LSU's win. Accounted for 606. First quarterback in, let's see, in FBS, who'd they play? Florida? I mean, I don't know how good Florida is these days. He can run. He just took it. Great blocking downfield by his teammates. He just took that thing 80 yards. Florida's 8-4. They're a good team. He's a talented player. But again, remember, he's a talented player, but how often? I mean, he should be pretty good because this is his 5th year of playing. I mean, back in our day, you only got 4 years to play. Hey, what's up, Widow? Would you take a QB high, Stu, or is there other areas you think we could? No, I wouldn't. No. I think we go defense, man. Defense. Get a corner, get a top corner, get a legit defensive end, get a legit interior lineman, and get a legit outside linebacker. Diablo, who is doing his best. Diablo is a safety. He's 6'3", 223. I mean, Sean Taylor was 6'3", 225. I was 6'3", 218 at safety. He's not a line. That's tough at that. That's why he keeps getting hurt. He's playing out of position. Get a legit linebacker. Get a legit corner. And get a freaking defensive end. Well, that's actually okay. But here, I think you draft defense through free agency. We get some legit offensive linemen who have established themselves. And we get some dogs on that defensive side, you know. I wouldn't mind either QB though. I was just saying I want a QB who can get out of the pocket when he. Then we're on the same page. That's exactly what I want. Again, I don't want a tree back there that can't, root it in the ground. A guy that can, again. I remember talking with Rod Woodson, a very close friend of mine. Rod Woodson went to Purdue. Was with the Raiders with me, very close friend of mine. And I said, Rod, who was the best quarterback right away? He said, Dan Marino. He said, because one, Dan Marino's release was so fast, you couldn't get a pre-snap. Some quarterbacks, their hand comes off the ball and you can get a jump on that, reads on that. He said his release was so fast, you didn't know where he was going to throw it. And secondly, he said Dan Marino was not an athlete, but he had enough mobility just to move, to come here, just to avoid, to step up in the pocket. He'd run if it was last chance, but he's creating time with his feet to throw it. Widow, were you out there? Warren Moon was a mobile quarterback. Randall Cunningham, a mobile quarterback. I mean, obviously the best that ever do it was Michael Vick, man, the best. And you talk about someone that could just a little, and that ball is shoom, that he could throw that joker. No, that is, but if you look at his stats, Justin Fields, he doesn't run it a whole bunch. I mean, that season he had 160, yeah, but also 9 fumbles. Tua might as well be a pocket guy since he gets rid of the. Oh, dude, well, like I talked about in my breakdown of the Miami game, which makes them so good. You can't get to the guy. Right here. Where's my stats? Okay. Let's see. I got it here. Don't hold on. Tua, average time to throw 2.4 seconds, fastest in the NFL. He's getting that ball out, getting it into the guys who carry the ball and giving them time to make plays. It's tough, man. That's why their offense is so good. They hit fast. High percentage throws, quick throws. Defense can't react. It's hard to get interceptions. It's hard to get sacks. It's hard to get turnovers. 2.4 seconds. I mean, the NFL, they always say if your quarterback doesn't have at least 3 seconds, there's no way. So, yeah. What's up, Addicted to Profits? I think Monday night showed scrambling QBs just don't mean results. So what Monday night was what the Bears and Vikings? Dobbs. That's the Minnesota quarterback. What happened on Monday night? Daniels was incredible this year. The issue was LSU's defense. It's just you always just I don't know. He had a great year. I mean, shit. I mean, Jay Daniels QB rating for the freaking season. Completing 60% of his passes. 149.2. No. Forgive me. I'm backwards. Right now, dude. Yeah. He's 20. Yeah, I'm looking at his stats. Holy smokes, guys. 72% of his completions, completing 72% of his passes, 3,812 yards, 40 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions with a QB rating of 208. Yikes. I mean, let's look at Robert Griffin III. Let's look at his senior year when he won the Heisman, what his stats looked like. Because I know he had a phenomenal year that year. Robert Griffin, but he's an example of a mobile quarterback that just couldn't do it. Let me see here. .6'2", 213. Great track runner. Let's see. So his senior year, 72%, 4,200, 37 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, QB rating of 189. Rushed 179 times for 699 yards, 10 touchdowns. Caught one. So, I mean, this kid has a better year statistically. On the season. Yeah. I mean, He's rushed for over 1,000 yards, 8.4 per carry with 10 rushing touchdowns, long of 85. No, I mean, QB rating 95.6, first in college football. Yeah. Let's get the Kool-Aid dude and trade up for another QB unless we roll in with Aiden. Needs work. Needs work. I don't think we need to get a new coach. I don't think we need to get a new quarterback. I think we just need to build up guys around the guys that we have. Build up that offensive line. Build up that we have.
Hey man. Oh, 1 second. Let me turn my volume off.
Hey man. Can't hear you.
Yeah, 1 second.
Hold on.
I'm good now. Sorry.
Hold on. No, it's me. Hold on.
No, it's me. I have my Bluetooth speaker on.
External headphone speaker. External headphone built.
No, I'm okay now. It was me, man.
No, it's me. It's me. You're good now.
Okay. Yeah, well, you were talking about Robert Griffin. I know you're obviously an O'Connell fan because of Purdue, and he's played pretty well for a rookie. But I think they're going to kind of do what Washington did with Griffin. If you remember the same draft, they took Griffin, they took Cousins in the 4th. So I think they're going to take a quarterback in the 1st. And if that, for whatever reason, if that guy did bomb out, if you look at Cousins' career, he didn't break out to his 4th year. Right? Yeah, this monster year.
Yeah, he always has perfect timing. He has a great year when it's his contract season.
Yeah, well, so I would think they're going to do that because I just think, and I like Aiden, but everyone wants one of these running all athlete quarterbacks. You know?
So, but that's the problem with these front offices and head coaches that don't know shit is they get caught up in the hype. They
I know. Well,
you get who fits your offensive scheme.
Well, you're going to see this year, Stu, because this is a deep quarterback draft. There's going to be 6 guys that go in the 1st round. So,
because we haven't had a huge quarterback in a while, right? Not since Jared Allen and all those guys, right? And Wilson and
yeah, that was a year. And then also there was that year, and this is a long time ago, that year Tannehill got taken because I remember Tannehill was the 4th or 5th quarterback that year. I think that might have been RG3's year too. And he was like the 8th pick and he was like the 4th quarterback. So
yeah, Tannehill's a loser. I don't like him. I don't like him.
Did you see Carr's pick 6 this weekend?
No.
Oh, dude, Carr also had the worst fumble I've ever seen. It was he was holding the ball. He luckily the Saints got it back, but he was holding the ball like a loaf of bread.
Here's the thing, dude. The NFC South is right.
Yeah, it's so bad.
So I mean, dude, the Saints were a top number 1 at 5-5, and the NFC,
the Saints and the Falcons have the 2 easiest schedules in the league.
Oh my god!
And they're both only 5 and 6. You know,
NFL rankings. Yeah, dude. So here. So the AFC the AFC East 8-3, 6-6, 4-7, 2-9. The AFC West 8-3, 6-5, 5-7, 4-7. The AFC North, their worst team is at 5-6. The Bengals. They're 9-3, 7-4, 7-4, 5-6. So they're fucking tough. And then also the AFC South, Jaguars 8-3, Colts 6-5, Texans 6-5, Titans 4-7. Now Let me go to the NFC.
And look at those last place teams. Like the Titans are 4-7 and the Chargers are 4-7, but no one thinks those teams are walkovers.
No. So you look at the NFC. Look at this NFC South. Falcons are winning the NFC South at 5-6. They're tied with the Saints at 5-6. The Buccaneers are 4-7, and the Panthers are 1-10. Just get them like that. Like, what the hell?
Like, don't you think they should change the playoff format? Okay, the division winner can still make the playoffs, but if you have like the worst record, you should just be like the 7 seed. Doesn't matter if you win your division, right? You shouldn't be getting a playoff home game, you know?
No, I mean, I do like the fact of if you are the winner of your division, that you should get a berth.
Well, it doesn't matter because I saw Carr enough.
That's a good point. That's a good point right here.
You know, yeah, well, that's what happened to RG3, and then he wasn't a good enough pocket passer. That's exactly what happened to him. You know.
Well, but that's the thing too is you're taking a guy. And to take an athletic quarterback and try to make him a pocket passer, that's tough also. That's like taking a pocket passer and making him a mobile quarterback. Like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, that's just tough. You know? Like, Michael Vick, I would say, would be the closest to it because Michael Vick can throw it a hell of a lot better than Lamar Jackson can.
At the end of his career, when he had that monster year for the Vikings, Cunningham did that. He became a good pocket passer after being a scorer.
Yeah, but that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because and again, if your first instinct is when things break down to run, that's okay. But when you are designing running plays for that guy, I don't know if it's like, I don't see it working. I
think they get away with
Lamar Jackson has been so blessed to have phenomenal defenses around them.
I think they get away with making these guys runners now is because the defenders are basically afraid.
Who is Tyson Bagent?
He's the backup for the Bears. He was the guy who beat us.
Oh.
He's like an undrafted guy from a small school, like a division.
Yeah, I remember watching the freaking Bears play the who they play on.
In fairness, in fairness, he's probably played as good as Fields this year. Like he actually played not too badly in his 3-4 starts. You know,
what's his? Wait, hold on. Let's look at this.
Look at his stats; they're really not that bad, man.
Tyson Bagent.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And I think he's 2-2 as a starter, and Fields is like 2-6. You know. Yeah, he's got 3 touchdowns, 6 picks. Fields is 12-6, but he's at 66%. Like, you know, and like I said, he's, you know, he played not too badly he's a rookie too, right? So
yeah, he's a rookie.
He's pretty mobile too, you know.
But I just when they played, let's see. What game? I mean, I watched the one game when they were playing. Was it
He played the Chargers and the Saints. He had a lot of turnovers against the Saints. I do remember that.
No, it was that Thursday night game. Let's see, who the freak did they? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, the Panthers. They won that game.
Oh, I mean, did that get like? I'm going. I can't watch this. This is just terrible,
dude. That's what Monday night was like. It's like. The Minnesota Dobbs and Fields were both so horrible. It was awful to watch. Like,
really?
I think I fell asleep. Yeah, it was, dude, it's 12-9 and Dobbs threw 4 interceptions. You could just tell from like almost the first pass of the game. It was one of those games where he was totally off or whatever. The Bears had a good scheme for him or whatever it was. So
go basketball style. East and West teams cut down on travel, then just pick up the top 6 in each division or something.
Well,
I like the divisions. I mean, it's even, right? I mean, 32 teams, 4 teams per division, 4 divisions.
What I wouldn't mind them doing is, you know, we have this extra 17th game now. instead of playing a team in the other conferences, a division that has the same place as you, so you play a fourth place team. That's your 17th game now. I think they should like the Giants and Jets should play every year, or the Raiders should play the Rams or the Niners every year. They should have like some kind of regional, thing every year, so you can have like a.
Well, yeah, 'cause it always used to be you play your division twice.
Yeah.
Then you always play. Let's see. So division. So that's 8 games, right? No, that's 6 games. Division
That's
twice.
6.
6,
and then you play another division in the conference, which is another 4.
4.
Right?
So that's 10, and then an NFC conference. So that's 14, and then the last 2 games were always an AFC, 2 AFC teams that had similar records from the previous season.
Yeah, they're the same position. Now what they've done is they've added the 17th game is it just rotates, and it's the division one of the divisions you're not playing. It's like, for example, the Raiders play.
What's that there?
I don't know.
Hello?
Yeah. Is that you? I'm in the Bahamas, man, and our internet's not great here, so I always wonder if that's me or you.
No, it's you. My actually internet's working okay right now. So
that was me then. Sorry about that.
Surprisingly.
You have to deal with my island internet. So, but okay. To go back to the quarterback thing, it's not like what I want to happen. I just think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna go quarterback, and then Aiden's kind of your insurance policy if that first round guy doesn't pan out. That's what I think they're gonna do. I'm not talking about Aiden.
That's definitely. I mean, I could see that being a possibility.
And it's more because if it was last year's quarterback draft and say we were picking where we are right now, I think we're 11th right now. I don't think they would have done that because there was no quarterback worth picking 11th.
No.
But this year with, like I said, 6 guys probably going in the first 20, 25 picks, they're gonna. Let me
do this. Let me just. What's the best? Let's see. Mock.
I was just looking at one today because most people have the Oregon quarterback as the last guy going in the first, and they have him going around 20 or 21st. Bo Nix,
Yeah.
I guess the line on him or the criticism of him is that he doesn't have a big arm, right? So
let's see here. So
the problem with Daniels, because I'm an LSU fan, right?
Well, here you go. So
is he small?
This is. I think this is. I don't. Caleb Williams to the Bears. I don't think so.
No, I don't even. I think they might go quarterback, but I think they're going to trade one of those 2 picks. So to get a bunch of.
I just know Marvin Harrison Jr. is a freaking.
Yeah, I know. Well, that again, there's the whole.
Well, here you go. They have. So besides, if the Bears were to take this, they have the next quarterback, this kid from North Carolina, Drake May, to the Patriots.
Yeah, I think Mays jumped over Williams as the first consensus first because Williams really.
Let's see, when was this?
Williams really took a dive the last month or so.
This is just updated. And then you have let's see. Then you have McCarthy going to the Buccaneers at 7. Then you got.
I think the Bucs will go quarterback. So
Chargers may have a problem covering the secondary. They need to improve. The kid from Georgia, cornerback, Kamari Lassiter. Is that Kool-Aid?
I have seen.
No, Kool-Aid's Alabama, right?
Yeah, Kool-Aid. Like I have seen him go to us when we were 5-5, and we were picking more like,
Right here it has us at number 11, picking offensive lineman Alumowai Fashanu from Penn State.
See, another thing is I could see that because you got to understand, again, with this being a deep quarterback draft, like the kid from Texas and a couple other guys are going to fall into the second, who would probably normally be like late first round picks at quarterback. So you could do that as well, So
let's see, NFL mock draft database. Let's see. So number 1 pick going to Arizona is Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 2 going to New England is Drake May, the quarterback from Carolina. And
That
then
would make sense.
Caleb Williams going to the Bears. And then Olamaya, the offensive lineman, going to the Bears. So the Bears have number 3.
No, the Bears have 1 and 4 or 5 right now.
Yeah, yep. Washington taking Bowers, the tight end from Georgia. Kool-Aid going to Chargers. Dallas Turner, an edge rusher from Alabama, going to the Titans. Offensive lineman from Notre Dame going to the Jets. Edge rusher from Florida State going to the Rams. Offensive lineman from Alabama going to the Bengals. Colts taking a receiver from Washington. Saints taking an edge rusher from – a lot of edge rushers are going before quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, that's
and wide receivers.
Yeah, edge rushers probably become as –
yeah, right now in this mock draft –
that's the quarterback of the defense now. It's just like
you have
linebackers are like running backs on defense. No one really values them anymore. So, yeah, that's –
well, it's because, rarely do you even have – the most – sometimes you have on the field is 1.
Yeah.
There's no 3 linebackers anymore.
And most teams are a nickel 70 to 80% of the time. You might bring your third backer in when you're in short yardage, on the goal line. But that's basically it. Like,
this one has McCarthy going to the Falcons at 23. Michael Penix.
And by the way, I think with linebackers, the whole
thing.
Has
Michael Penix going to the Raiders.
Yeah, I've seen that a bunch of times too. Yeah.
And then Bo Nix going to New York.
You know why I wouldn't mind Penix too?
And then it had Jaden Daniels being the last pick of the first round.
That's not going to happen. He's going to have a crazy combine. He'll go top 10, that guy, once he has his combine. Because he's going to run like a 4.3 40. You know that. It's like happened to Richardson. Once these guys do that at the combine, they shoot. And Daniels is a better passer than Richardson.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He needs to get, like, again, I'm an LSU fan, so I watch a lot of him. He needs girth. Like, he needs to put on 15 to 20 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, but dude, that's
that. And
at the NFL combine, I was as big as I was 218, but I had never played bigger than 215. To ask a quarterback, especially that's coming out, a mobile one, to put on 15 pounds, that's really hard.
He's listed at 185. There's no way he's lasting the NFL 6'3", 185. Like, that's like.
Oh, I saw he was listed. Who?
Daniels. I know he might have gotten
listed at 204.
Okay, well, I was on Sports References, which is the college where you get the stats for college football, and they had him 6'3", 185. But those things you never know because they have Aiden listed at 200 there when he was in college, and he's 215. So yeah, I don't know, so.
Okay. What they have Aiden at?
203, but he's like 215. So, so who knows? Maybe they had these guys listed at like their sophomore weight, and they put on some mass through college.
Well, when I remember when I was in college, I don't know when they fucking really weighed us. You know what I mean? Like before each season, I think you just kind of like the person doing the program, you like put me at 215. Like you kind of just told them. I don't remember ever getting like a true measurement or anything. What up, Charm City 410?
And the thing about Nix, I kind of like if we do take him, not Nix, sorry, the Penix, is he's probably the most pocket passer of all of them. And I always like, you can tell me if you disagree with this, when you have a similar starter to your backup. Because to me, it makes no sense to have Jaden Daniels with O'Connell as your backup because you got to have two totally different offenses, No,
why the fuck would you do that? That's I think
where Penix is the most pocket passing type, so you could basically have the same offense, So
yeah, I never understood like having two because that's and for the offensive lineman, to have a pocket passer and then try to block for a mobile quarterback. Like that's two completely like. If you have a pocket passer, you want big motherfucking offensive linemen that can just stout and sit there and hold the guy. But if you have a quarterback who's moving, now you need smaller, more athletic offensive linemen who can move around and follow the quarterback.
Do you remember this is probably when you weren't watching the year the Raiders had Terrell Pryor. That's what they were like. They had like Matt McGloin played some this year before they drafted Carr, and they had Terrell Pryor, and it made no sense because McGloin and I that Flynn too. They signed in free agency that year.
Well, we're gonna bring him in for a change up to whatever. It's like
it makes no sense.
Yeah, but then you need to pick an identity. Here's what you need. I mean, the good teams have an identity, and they bring in players that fit that identity.
Yeah. Like Baltimore, all their backups are mobile guys. Like right. Like
exactly
that Huntley guy. He's a mobile guy like Jackson, right? And
RG3
was their third string.
Who is Jalen Hurts' backup?
I think it's. I don't know if he's still. He had a bad preseason, but I think it's Mariota. And Mariota's a mobile guy, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I mean that makes sense. But to have, I'm trying to think of probably like you said. What'd you say? The quarterbacks?
I think Penix is the most one that's just a pure pocket.
No, before where there was, you have this guy as a quarterback, and you bring this other guy in, it's completely different.
Like that year in 2013 before they drafted Carr, they had Matt McGloin and Flynn,
and Terrell Pryor,
and like Terrell Pryor. So, it's like and even like the final year that Carson Palmer started, Pryor was his backup, and it's like that makes no sense because Palmer's.
Or you bring in the quarterback and you run the option, and it's like, well, I know when he's in here, we're going to run the option, but we're not an option team, so we don't practice it that much. The offensive line aren't option offensive linemen, so you're really putting your team at a disadvantage because that's not what you practice. That's not what you're good at. Like I never understood that when teams will all of a sudden run the option, like with Tom Brady or something. I'm not saying they did, but why would you do that? Like. Yeah, I guess it's a change up, but it could be disastrous.
With the Ravens, like any running back they put in there, Gus Edwards, Justin Hall, they got this rookie's really good, Keaton Mitchell. And even last year, he couldn't even play anymore. But the guy we had, Kenyon Drake, had a big game for them one game. Because their offense is set up for that, right? That they're going to run the option and most of the defensive attention is going on Jackson. So these running backs benefit from that.
Well, also too. I mean, as a defense, you say, we're going to let the other. If we lose, it's because this other guy beat us, not because Lamar did. We are going to stop Lamar, right? But then I also think this: if you are a running style offense in the NFL, why don't you get guys that in college are coming from a running style offense as well? And it always bothered me when you're taking an offensive lineman that is at Michigan, but he's the best offensive lineman, and then you're bringing him to Baltimore, and it's like, dude, I don't know how to block the fucking option. Like, go to a school that runs that type of offense and pull a guy from that, or a defensive guy, right? Go instead of taking a 3-point stance rush end, and then drafting him as an outside 3-4 linebacker. Like
you see that all the time.
You're telling me there's not a guy in college that's doing that you can bring in right now? Then why would you do that?
Well, you talked about Diablo. Like, the guy was a safety and you convert him to linebacker, right? And
like middle linebacker, like that. I could see maybe Will linebacker at the most adjustment, but to put him at freaking Mike, dude, that's not an easy position. And you can see, I mean, he's doing the best he can, but
he's doing okay. He's not doing terrible. He's been solid. Like, hasn't been.
No, but his body. I mean, again, he's getting beat up. He's getting injured. That's hard runnings in there. That Spillane is a Mike linebacker in the NFL.
Yeah,
and he's always been a Mike linebacker. So keep him at his position. Like again, you take Nnamdi, who was I think in Cali was a safety, and you move him to corner, there's going to be some adjustment to that. That's not an easy position.
There's another
trade.
People always have short memories. They think when these guys, like, they just think of their premier, like, peak years. Nnamdi was not a very good corner the first 2 or 3 years. You know, it took him to about
my rookie. So he was drafted in 03. In 04, yeah. I remember you had Charles Woodson and Philip Buchanan playing corner.
Yeah.
And Nnamdi was a backup safety behind me.
Yeah, I know.
And even the next year, it took him a little while to get rolling.
That famous Brett Favre game where his dad died and he threw 1 million touchdown passes against the Raiders. Nnamdi's the safety in a lot of those touchdown passes in that Monday night game in 2003.
Was it? You sure it wasn't Woodson and Dorsett?
No, Nnamdi. It was the end of the year and the Raiders were out of it, so they were giving him some playing time. Oh. I remember him playing a bunch.
So you talk about 03, 04. Yeah. I remember Nnamdi was like, I'm barely even playing, and then finally in 05, he started getting, and then his breakout year was 06. That's his fourth year. His fourth year in the league is when he had that great year.
I remember that, you know, because especially at that time, that's when Davis kept picking all these guys who were busting, you know, like so we were just kind of like, oh, Nnamdi's another bust.
Well, again, Tyler Brayton was a freaking rush end, 6'6", 275 pounds rush end from Colorado, and they bring him in as an outside 4-3, 3-4 linebacker trying to guard tight ends and slot receivers in space.
I remember that.
Dude, that's not what he does.
I remember that.
Like, what are you doing?
You know, I don't know about the NFL. They do that shit all the time, man. Right. Yeah. You know, they do that stuff all like sometimes it works out. But one track record the Raiders have a really good is that taking guys and converting them. They haven't done this in a number of years, but they were talking back in the 70s and 80s. They convert guys to tight end. Like that. Actually, Dave Casper was an offensive tackle in college, right? So,
well, perfect one example that I know that I personally know is Dallas Clark. You know, one thing that Kirk Ferentz has done great at Iowa is taking guys and projecting them, because they're not going to beat Ohio State and Michigan for these guys, so they have to go and be creative with players. Dude, Dallas Clark was a walk-on linebacker that they converted to tight end, and you saw how that worked, right? I mean, pro, as many success stories as you hear of these players coming in and all of a sudden switching positions and it working out, there's at least 30 other guys you've never heard of where it didn't work out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But these coaches all want to be the guy who was, well, I know I could take this guy who was a 4-year starter at Cal Berkeley at defensive end, and he's been all conference and up for the Butkus Award, and I know he can be a defensive end, but you know what? I'm going to take this guy over here who, really is a linebacker, but I think he's long and tall, and I can put him down there, and I can make, why don't you just go with the sure shot, man? These guys all want to be the gurus that saw something nobody else seen, and it's like, no, I'm going to go with, I need an outside linebacker, so I'm going to go to college football and find an outside linebacker and draft the best outside linebacker.
I only think you make that switch if you absolutely have to, because a guy like Terrell Pryor, he did have a 1,000-yard year as a receiver for the Browns.
Did he really?
Yeah, well, because Terrell Pryor was a garbage, as no offense, but he was a horrible quarterback. So it's like, switch him to receiver. The guy runs a 4.3 or whatever. Well,
I can see going. I can see here's a big athletic kid that we can put somewhere. I get that. That makes sense to me. And what kind of draft pick was Terrell Pryor?
He was, I think, second round.
Okay, so I
No,
mean,
third round. But he was the first pick of the third round. He was in the supplemental draft. So because he had to, I
so
remember
but I
he
mean, still, that's not like you got to realize. Think about how hard it is to make it to the NFL at a position you've been playing your whole life, and then now all of a sudden, oh, you know what? We're gonna put you at a position you've never played before. Like that's like asking the impossible, man. I mean, you've got to be a freaking stud athlete to be able to make a position change at the NFL level.
Yeah, well, yeah. He, like I said, if you go look at him it's 2016, I'm looking at right now, he had 1,000 yards for the Browns as a wide receiver. So, but that was kind of a 1-year wonder. Like he never did anything again after that. But yeah, I do. But
I mean, that's
but
pretty.
he was,
That's pretty amazing. I mean, to have 1,000 yards as a receiver, I would say to have 1,000 yards as a receiver is harder than having 1,000 rushing yards
of course,
as
yeah,
a running back or quarterback. I'd say it's probably the hardest position offensively to get to 1,000 yards. Wouldn't you think?
yeah. Well, hey, here's another. Go back to the draft. Speaking of receivers, so supposedly the Jets are all going to be all in on like trying to get Adams back with Rodgers next year. So, and I don't know, you read all these BS rumors on the internet, but there's rumors of like the Jets would do 2 first-round picks. I'd give up Adams for that at this point, especially if the Jets pick is in the top 10, you know?
I would I would say at this point, Adams and Myers. I mean, they're very similar, if not Myers being a little more, um, a little more versatile. I think a better athlete. So there is some. I mean,
Like you'll have to replace Adams. That's the negative. But on the other hand,
I think though we still have I mean, look. I mean, I think Myers could do anything that Adams is doing right now. So if we have 2 guys and we can get rid of one and still have that same type of player and we get 2 first-round picks.
yeah, and then you still have Renfro in the slot, and then you just have
Adams, I mean, Adams again hasn't been a difference maker this year.
No, well, they get him the ball early, and then he kind of disappears. And I don't know. They keep saying, "No, they got to force it to him," but I don't know. He's got that wide receiver attitude too. I know a lot of Raider fans will shit on me for this because they love him so much, but it's like he does that pouty wide receiver stuff when he doesn't get the ball, which I hate. You know, the Terrell Owens, like, you know, whatever, you know, it becomes about them crap. And I find sometimes like, okay, what's the best game we've had since, you know, McDaniels left? It was the Giants game. We didn't even try to get the ball to Adams early. You know, they were just throwing to other guys and they were running.
Now, again,
you know,
we always have to think though is what is he occupying the defense? And
well, that's a huge thing. Like that first, I saw some film on that first Myers TD this week, and the safety totally went over to Adams and left the middle of the field open for Myers. So yeah, that's
I mean he that had nothing to do with Adams. That just had to do with the defense. They were playing cover 2 man.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I mean any cover 2 safety with an outside vertical release by number 1 is going to bring him over there. Now, did it bring him over there maybe 2 more steps than it would someone else? Maybe, and those 2 steps made a difference. Maybe, but
yeah. Okay, this guy's comment, I kind of disagree with comments like this because I don't know. You played in the NFL. These guys don't play any harder. Oh, they're desperate. No, San Diego.
After Vikings, we got Chargers. Vikings are only half game out of playoffs, not as desperate. Chargers losing will put them out of playoff run.
Yeah, but are the Chargers really going to be desperate? They probably can't stand that coach by now.
I think you saw maybe with this past loss, some guys mail it in. Like you saw Peters, all of a sudden he wasn't in there. Guy gone. Maybe some guys, some veteran guys, maybe if they're able to play injured, they may back out knowing there's no playoff. But as far as whenever I played, that game was its own entity, right? Like you're not thinking of any game before or any game after. You are playing like I am playing to win this fucking game. If I'm in this game, I'm playing to win. I'm not thinking going, oh, this game means more. Every game means the same to me. I mean, every game should be the game of your life.
I do think maybe Miller and Crosby played last week because if you're 6-6, the chances at the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
But like say we're like,
when did Miller go out?
He went out like 2 weeks prior.
No, in the game.
Oh, he went out. I think the last drive when they were out of it, garbage
Oh,
time. He just didn't play the last 5 plays or something.
okay.
Yeah. So I always look at the snaps after the game, and he only didn't play 5 snaps.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, and I think his shoulder he's got a bad shoulder. I think it wore down as the game went on too, from what I was reading. So, yeah. So, and look at that, the Chargers, like, come on, like okay, they're so desperate. Like they're playing desperate when they never would have gone to 4-7. The Chargers they choke.
Wait, hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Jalen Milroe. What am I missing?
Yeah, I don't know what he's trying to say.
Who's Jalen? Is that someone who's in here or?
Yeah, I think so because I don't know.
I don't see any comment.
I don't know who Jalen Milroe. I'd have to. I could do a Google search.
What has the? Let's go. Let's go with a true QB, and that is,
he's the Alabama QB. So
Jalen Milroe is.
Yeah, I should have known that, but yeah.
First of all, hold on. Super Omnicorn. Aiden O'Connell is a true QB. And when's the last time an Alabama quarterback has done anything? Because I consider Jalen Hurts a Georgia quarterback and Tua Tagovailoa. But again, he's in a great system where he gets the ball very fast. There's not a whole lot of Alabama quarterbacks that are just killing the fucking game. I mean,
and even I think you're going to see in the playoffs because Tua's been making a lot of mistakes the last few weeks. I think he's going to kill them in the playoffs. I think he's going to make a bunch of bad mistakes because
here's the deal. The whole thing of I'm telling you this right now. There in the history of the NFL, I can guarantee you this: there has been no player on a roster saying, I'm going to go out there and try to lose this game so we get a better draft pick. I don't care. Now, can front office, can a coaching staff make substitution, maybe put guys on IR to do some things? Maybe, but I guarantee you this: a coach, what's a coach's lifeline? How do you judge a coach?
If it's McDaniels, the lifeline is about a year and a half.
No. I'm saying when you look at a coach, how do you determine if a coach is good or not? By what?
Wins and losses, basically.
There you go. So there's no coach that is going to purposely try to lose games to get a better pick. Because if he loses those last 3 or 4 games, he might be fired. So why would he do that over a draft pick? There's no way. There's that whole thing is it. Now, last game of the year, the week before you secured a playoff berth. The next game doesn't mean anything. You're not there to win the division. You might, maybe let some guys play and maybe in the second half sit some of your veterans just to make sure no one gets hurt for that next playoff game. Yeah, that might happen. But nobody is sitting here going, oh, I'm going to lose some games on the hopes of we draft some kid that's never played one down in the NFL.
Yeah, like you think that Bill Belichick is intentionally losing games right now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Yeah. You think he wants to end his career on this type of note? Someone was suggesting Jalen Monroe, okay, as a QB in the draft. Too raw. What has the NFL QB?
I think what he's trying to say is, and I agree with this, is that he's trying to say that, like, look, these NFL QBs, it's just all becoming about if you can run and have athletic ability. And it's like, what the hell? That's kind of what I think. That's one of the things Brady's criticizing, not just some of the rules and the way guys play.
Afakasi, pull up, give us your 2 cents. You know Afakasi, right?
Yeah, he's a guy from Australia.
Yeah.
He doesn't know anything else about the NFL other than the Raiders. He don't even want
to. He doesn't want to. No.
Well, just so you know, I'm like that in college football with LSU. Like one reason I even forgot the name of
I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
I don't think I knew that about. For me, and again, obviously I'm biased. I think what Aiden O'Connell has shown that he can do in the NFL, he's getting better every week. You know, he's putting. I mean, some of his passes, you can hear the announcers. Trent Green sitting here saying that's an unbelievable pass. You're putting it where no one else can catch it. Here we go.
Like last week.
Wait, hold on. Afakasi.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? How are you, Stu? It's been a long time since I've been able to share the panel with you. Everybody in the chat, I see Kev and saw Gord, my guys, and everyone else. I can't see the guy on the top right. His camera seems to have gone dark. Is that just me, or is it?
It froze for a second.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see him. What's good?
Oh, I'm okay. 1 second.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. No, everything's good. The holiday was rough for me. I think I had the Rona for. I just finally today, or actually, I guess yesterday, was able to. I took 5 hours to watch the game, and I went on earlier, and I had about a 2-hour stream, and I got to about halfway through the second quarter, and then I'm like, I'm gonna shut this one off and just do kind of a freestyle one. But while you're on here, give us your opinion.
I'm frozen.
Sorry, just before I go, I've seen you before. I don't know if I know your name. Sorry, can I ask your name?
Oh shit,
David.
What is it? Sorry,
hold on.
David.
Okay, salute to you, David.
Yeah, I am frozen. I just looked at so it's whatever.
Yeah, David.
Right.
David's down in the Bahamas. He's a very close friend of mine. We talk a lot.
That's what's up. Nice to meet you. Okay, so what do you want to know, Stu? Talk to me.
No, just what's I guess give us your opinion on let's just say the last 2 weeks, the Miami game, the Kansas City game, and then maybe what your thoughts are with moving forward.
I got to be honest. I didn't watch the Miami game. I had a lot going on with my personal life. I had to listen to what I could. So I was in and out of that game. And then with the Chiefs game, like I actually dozed off on the 4th and 1 because I got up super early to watch the game. And usually it's not such a struggle, but this time, like I just passed out and then I found out the full-time result, and it was just more of the same. You know, it's disappointing that like it's just the more things change, the more things stay the same. It's been we won one game in the last 6 years. We've won 3 times in the last decade, in the last 20 encounters against the Chiefs, and it's disappointing. But like unfortunately, like I don't like to toot my own horn or I'm proud to say that I'm right, because I'm not. I'm never glad to be right about anything that's detrimental to the Raiders. I expected this year to be a rough ride. And sure enough, it has been that. The interim head coach.
What made you think that going into this season?
I wasn't sold on our quarterback class one bit. The defensive side of the ball had me questioning. Like there was a lot of, we had a lot of draft picks in that area, and there was a lot of young talent there. But for me, it was a case of like I question how quick of a return we're going to get from these guys. I think they needed time. And guys like Tyree still needs time, but they have been performing better than what I expected. It's the offensive side of the ball that we've been struggling. And of course, the number one issue. Well,
and
number two.
When you say they, you're talking about the defense has played better than you expected.
Yeah, definitely better than I expected. It's been coached better than I expected. I got on Patrick Graham's case probably more than most last season. I'm happy that he's proved me wrong for the most part. but the offensive side of the ball, like the quarterback struggles for me. Like Aiden O'Connell, with all things considered, has been doing a decent enough job. I mean, he wasn't expected to be the guy, being a 4th-round draft pick, he was expected to sit, but because of the struggles with Jimmy G and of course Brian Hoyer just not being it, has forced him into a situation where he's having to produce more than he needed to now. And with all things considered, he's doing a decent enough job, but like at the same time, we're still struggling in that department. But number one was the coaching, up until we fired Josh McDaniels. I don't think we've discussed that since I've shared the floor with you.
No.
I was never a McDaniels guy. I never wanted him in the door. I gave him a chance because he's our coach. The rest is history. We don't need to go down that road again, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it is disappointing to lose to the Chiefs. I got to admit, like in my heart of hearts, I didn't think we were going to win that game. And again, we didn't. We go into the break now, so hopefully we can come back. And I want to see the same kind of energy and passion from those 2 weeks where we beat the Giants and the Jets. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that can take us further than what our offense capabilities have been able to produce. I don't know. We have the weapons on the outside. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's a case of the offensive line or the quarterback play. I don't know, but I don't know. I just take it 1 week at a time.
I think
ahead,
one
David.
issue with the coaching even now is if you look at the offense, they're really built to be a short kind of intermediate passing offense. And they're trying to be this power running team, right? I know they run zone, but like they want to run Jacobs 20, 25 times a game. But the interior offensive line is not good enough to do that. Sorry, they're just not. They get run over too much and the whatnot. So I think they can't try to be something that they're not. And I know Antonio Pierce wants to be kind of like a punch in you in the mouth type guy, but other than that Jacobs big run, he really didn't do very much. And obviously, you always got to count those big runs. But like that's really the issue. And you saw that in the Miami game too. They just don't have the quality at guard and center to always be just hammering it up in the middle. And they've got it, and then they have all these short intermediate threats, not just Adams and Myers, but they got Mayer, the tight end. They've got Renfro. They got Jacobs out of the backfield. They have to take advantage of all that. And I think, I hate these 3rd and 1s where either they run it up the middle of the Jacobs or they throw a bomb. That's just nonsense to me.
One of the things I talked about this game, which didn't make any sense to me, was we're condensing the formation, right? We're lining everyone up in between the numbers, right? All that's doing is moving the defense in, and their defense works a lot on disguising and blitzing these guys and coming. And when you put these guys in closer, it's so much easier to disguise things. When you spread things out, those guys blitzing have to, at some point they got to start coming down, and it's easy to see that. You condense a formation like Kansas City did to run these crossing routes and pick routes.
Yeah.
We didn't run crossing routes or pick routes when we brought guys in. And you definitely don't condense the formation to run the ball. That 4th and 1, you spread that whole fucking field out, and then you run that same play with Jacobs. But when you bring everybody in, it just adds defenders into that box, and that's not good for anyone.
And like you said, if you're getting go on.
Go ahead.
No, you finish it, and I was going to bring something different.
No, and I think if you do run that condensed look, then you do run a short crossing route on a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, right? And you get the 3 yards or 2 yards, and you move on to the next thing. And also on those short yardage plays, Aiden, one thing I've noticed he's really good at, he's great on those quarterback sneaks. He gets tons of leverage, and he'll get 2-3 yards at a time on a sneak. I almost rather sneak it with him on a 4th and 1 than run it up the middle of Jacobs and have 5 of the defenders waiting there, So,
well, again, I think it all depends. Whether you sneak it with Aiden or you give it to Jacobs, you take those tight end and receivers and spread them out.
Yeah. So
there's don't bring them in closer. Go ahead, Afakasi.
Just thinking off the rip, because I actually asked you a question in the chat, but I guess that'll segue me to just.
Is it your question about Wilson?
Yeah. Just hear me out. I'll just spitball what I got to say. The other thing that's kind of hurting us when I think about it is that, when you think about our last 2 draft classes under the last regime, we haven't really got a day a game changer. You know what I'm saying? Like a good player that we can build around. I mean, the best of the bunch is Dylan Parham. To me, he's decent, but like we're missing, or just we're not getting as much. Like, yeah, they're rookies and second-year guys. I'm not expecting the house from, but at the same time, with our last regime, we found day one game changers in Crosby, in Renfro, in guys who can contribute right off the bat.
Mayock was probably the worst. Oh, sorry.
Hear me out. Like,
I disagree with you. That's all.
Yeah, I understand that, but like, like the other thing that's also kind of hurting us is our round, like specifically our round one misses. You know what I mean? We're missing more than we're hitting, and we're missing very badly. You know what I'm saying? And that's hurting us in the long run. I mean, look at our last 6-7 years. Like outside of Jacobs and outside of like Jacobs might be the only one, maybe Colton Miller, another one who had to develop. He was the only one who we drafted in round one who wasn't good right off the rip, who eventually developed to be good. Every other player that we banked on developing, we drafted in round one that we were waiting to be good. None of them panned out. Look at the names. Do I need to name them? No, I don't. So it's scary, and for me, I think it's got a bit to do with our struggles in the long term. And I know you disagree.
I do agree with you. No, I think Mayock was like maybe Mayock and Gruden combo were maybe the worst GM coach combo for drafting the first round in NFL history. When you two of the guys are basically in jail, Ruggs and Arnett, right? So
David, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say that those first round picks, especially a top 10 pick, that player is expected to come in and fucking and not be a complete game changer, but he is supposed to come in and bring some noise.
Well, right.
Other teams are. I mean, look at again. I'm just going off of what I know. George Karlaftis was the last pick in the first round 2 years ago. He came in as a starter, and he's been producing ever since he stepped on the field. As a 7th overall pick, our guy hasn't done anything, nothing at all.
And look at last year's draft class. I mean, yeah, it's their sophomore year, but look at last year. We got Dylan Parham and Thayer Mumford are the best of the bunch. They're decent guys, but look at the rest of the class. Zamir White ain't done squat. Look at those 2 defensive tackles we took. Both of them are off our roster. I think Butler might be languishing in the practice squad. He might be up out of here.
The one was from Tennessee, right?
Britton Brown was injured. I think he missed a golden opportunity to seize that backup running back that we're missing, because we don't have a decent spellback. Zamir White we were banking him to take over from Josh Jacobs, and he just ain't it.
Well, let's
you're looking at this year's class, you know what I mean? Like, they still need time, but like
not only a first round pick, but a huge free agent signing. Look at Chandler Jones. He's completely
Chandler Jones, Marcus Peters.
Peter. Yeah, look at
Jacoby
Peter.
Myers has been good, but like we're missing on those two.
I think Jones played.
But hold on, David. Again, no, but when you miss on multiple high first round picks and big free agents, that'll kill your organizations for years. Years, it'll kill you. It'll kill you. It will kill you. And then not only that, Garoppolo. He was considered a big time free agent signee, right? Hasn't done anything for us. So
just like I said, like think about what I said just before you shoot. In the last 10 years, maybe, if you think of the first round draft specifically, the guys who weren't day one game changers, like Jacobs, like Mack, like Amari Cooper. Think of everybody else. Only Colton Miller was the guy who didn't start well, who eventually panned out to be good in time. Every other guy we waited for to develop, I'm going as far back as Rolando McClain. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of them panned out. Rolando McClain, Menelik Watson, Gary Conley, Carl Joseph, Alex Leatherwood, Damon Arnett, Henry Ruggs. Do I need to keep naming names? No, I don't. You know what I mean? And that's what scares me about Tyree Wilson, Cleve Farrell, Jonathan Abram. Those are other names. You know what I'm saying? It's scary, man. You know what I mean? And I'm just
with Wilson and Garoppolo.
You just brought up some really good points, though, on the names you said. I mean, bust. I mean, terrible.
Like I said, only one guy who didn't have a rookie year where we said, yes, he's the guy. Remember, Colton Miller struggled in his first year, and he eventually turned out to be the guy in time. But every other guy we waited on to develop, none of them panned out. None.
And more eggs Still on the fence for me. Another.
Well, Morik's around 2 guys. I think he's been decent for the most part. You know
this
what I
has
mean?
been his best.
He's gotten better.
This has been his best season for sure. But again, what are we? This is year 4 for him.
Year 3.
Year 3.
So him, Hobbs, and Diablo all had third year jumps, in my opinion, which is what I think contributed to the defense playing better. Like those 3, I highlighted specifically, needed to take third year leaps. All of them did, in my personal opinion. Even Malcolm Kuntz, he's not getting as home as what I'd ideally like.
I've been very impressed with Malcolm.
He's getting the pressures. He's doing his job. You never see a lack of effort from Malcolm Kuntz.
No, I mean, the guy's freaking making tackles on punt. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
right.
He's the only reason that Crosby. He's the only reason that Crosby had a sack this past.
Right.
year.
Yeah, I know. He corralled him right into Crosby. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
No. I totally agree with you on the drafting, but it's also like look. Then it comes back to who you're hiring as coach. Because one thing I've made the comment on: look at these defensive linemen that are still in the league. Mario Edwards, Shelby Harris, Arden Key, Maurice Hurst,
right?
The guy for Tennessee, Autry. If we had those guys on our defensive line,
what about the kid from South Carolina? He's still in the league, isn't he?
Who's it? Mario Edwards?
No. What's his name? The guy who tackled the Michigan player.
I'm talking about guys we drafted. I think you're talking about Clowney.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about generally.
No, I'm saying these are all guys that McKenzie drafed, and they're all actually. Jihad Ward's another one. They're all solid defensive linemen now. And dude, Jihad Ward's a good player. You know.
I know he's done okay with other teams, but when he was with us, like he didn't do nada.
But why didn't he do good? Because we have crappy coaches. Sorry, that comes a part of it too. It's not just like, oh, we can't draft. It's like, no, how come these guys are all still in the league?
Well, let me ask you guys this, though. Let me ask you guys this. Who do you blame more in the draft? The front office or the coaches?
The coaches, because their last 2 coaches, Gruden and McDaniels, I think they were really the GMs. I think the GM did what they told them to do. Like Alex Weatherwood and Arnett supposedly were total Gruden picks. You know,
what do you think, Avocasi? Are you blaming the front office, the GM, and the player personnel, or are you blaming the coaches?
Everybody involved in the pick, like the scouting team, the coach, the GM, everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I know you're talking about Jihad Ward, but I'm still not impressed with him. Like, yeah, he's with another team, but he's a round 2 pick, and he's on the other team, but what has he done with the other team? He's not lighting the house on fire. He's not storming the league.
You know
what's that?
He had a great year last year for the Giants. Go look at what he did last year.
Still think he's I don't think too much of him, but that's just my personal opinion. But at the same time, like, these are guys we're picking, and they're not turning out for us. I don't care what they're doing for other teams. I only care specifically what they're doing for us. And with the Tyree Wilson pick, hang on, let me finish. The Tyree Wilson pick scares me because I saw more potential in Cleve Farrell and Arden Key in their rookie years. And look how that panned out for us. That's what scares me about the Wilson pick. Yes, I know he was injured, and yes, I know we got to give him time, but it scares me nonetheless.
To me, it's next year with Wilson because I think he isn't healthy. Like, I think.
When did he get hurt?
He broke his foot last year in college, and he wasn't ready till training camp. He even missed like half a training camp. You know.
Why the fuck?
And I have a bigger issue with that. Why are you signing Jimmy G and Tyree Wilson when these guys are coming off, foot injuries or some of the?
Yeah, why are we signing guys who don't even know can clear a fucking or signing guys that can't clear a mental check? Like these guys have issues from their past, but yet they just whatever.
I think that Chandler Jones thing played a big part in the firings. Like, you're giving this guy $15 million a year, and he's your guy, and it's like whatever. Antonio Brown and your Ruggs, but like they weren't.
Look what the 49ers do with free agency. They've been amazing with free agency and draft picks.
Also, look at how long. Yes, I know Chandler up until when we signed him has had a pretty storied career. I'm not going to deny that. But how long has the guy been in the league? And you're going to give him that much money for 3 years? A guy who's 12 seasons deep?
Well,
And you let go of a
and
guy in
guy
Yannick
that-
Ngakoue, who I actually liked, you know what I mean? For all his deficiencies, he's a lot younger, and I believe he still had more left in the tank than, say, a Chandler Jones, even if Chandler Jones didn't go off the cuckoo. You know what I'm saying?
I think Chandler Jones, off of that one game again against the Titans where he had 4 or 5 sacks or whatever it was,
Yes,
and with the history he had with McDaniels probably thinking that, oh, and I'm sure Chandler Jones sold him a story when he came in there. And here's McDaniels thinking, oh, probably a guy that Chandler Jones probably never even spoke to McDaniels when he was with New England. But McDaniels is thinking, oh, I'm going to bring this guy in. He's got the stats from last year. He's a guy. He's a guy that I can probably. What do you want to say? I can sit here and have him kind of be a guy that I can inject things into and have him be that guy in the locker room to spread my bullshit. And it didn't work out. But I'm sure
you're going to give him that much money, 12 seasons deep, and commit 3 years to him?
I'm telling you, these coaches, to have a guy that's a yes guy around them that'll do what they say, they'll sell the kitchen sink for it. And I guarantee you, Chandler Jones on the free agency thing said, I'll do whatever you want, coach. I'll be your guy. You can trust me. I'll make sure that I'm implementing what you want. I'll be your guy in the locker room to let them know what they're saying about you and all this type of stuff. I guarantee it. And coaches, these insecure coaches, they'll pay for that shit. They're idiots. Instead of going, I want a guy that's going to make my team better because then we all win. I'm going to give this money to a guy that I know I can control and a guy that I can get the inside scoop on what people think about me. That's how insecure these idiot coaches are.
Perfect example of that, talking about Denico Autry, who's like now had like a really good career, is that was the year his rookie contract was up the year Gruden came in. So he wasn't Gruden's guy, right? He was there with Del Rio, right? So
Del Rio.
let him walk, and the guy's been like a super productive.
I want to say this, David. Hold on. That's the other problem that we've done is we've hired these prima donna fucking coaches that think people pay a ticket to see them. John Gruden, Jack Del Rio, McDaniels. These are guys that it's about me. That's been one of the biggest problems we've been doing is hiring these coaches that want to make it about them. So you know what they do? They hire idiots around them that know less than them so they can control them, right? So every pick they do, that's great job. That's perfect, because these coaches, they know less than them. So they're not going to question the guy at top. I mean, again, I go back to Jack Del Rio and why Rod Woodson doesn't fucking coach anymore. Jack Del Rio, who is the head coach, who was a subpar linebacker in the NFL, is trying to tell Rod Woodson how he wants his defensive backs to backpedal. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? If I'm a head coach and I hire Rod Woodson, I know this. Defensive backfield is one position I don't ever have to worry about again. But instead, I don't want Rod Woodson to get credit for, the defensive backfield doing any good. So I want to make sure that I nitpick and I want to make sure that he knows I'm the guy. And I'm going, are you fucking, I said, you got to be shitting me. I said, Rod Woodson, that's why I don't coach anymore. These are the type of coaches that the Raiders, these big name coaches who have a big name, not necessarily because they've won any games, but because they've just been around.
And by the way, Al Davis, for his faults, he didn't do that, right? Like Gruden was a nobody. He was an offensive coordinator for a year or two for the Eagles when he hired him, right? And he was a young guy.
And that was about the last year Al Davis hired a nobody coach. And then guess what? And God rest Al Davis's soul. Love the man. But as soon as John Gruden started becoming bigger than the Raiders, guess what happened? You got to go. So then let me bring in guys that I can control, right? When we win, I get the credit. But when we lose, I can blame the coach. Norv Turner, never been a good head coach. I love Norv Turner. He drafted me. Good offensive coordinator, yes. Then you bring back Art Shell? Are you fucking kidding me? And then you bring in Lane Kiffin? Are you shitting me? And then interim head coach Tom Cable? Like, what are we
Well,
doing here?
I don't want to rehash history too much, but with Kiffin, I think he thought he was doing another Gruden, getting a young offensive guy or something. But
No. He knew. No, he's getting a guy who was 31 years old that Al knew behind the scenes. He could tell him, this is what you're going to do and you're going to do it. Well, Lane didn't play that game, right? He brought Lane in and Lane's going, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. And all of a sudden Al's like, oh shit, what the fuck? Right? I got to get rid of the guy as fast as I can. So every decision that Al made, Lane Kiffin is going to make sure that doesn't work. Also known as Jamarcus Russell, right? Lane Kiffin was going to make sure Jamarcus Russell never had a chance because Lane Kiffin wanted Megatron. Al Davis wanted Jamarcus Russell. So Lane Kiffin went out of spite to make sure that Jamarcus Russell was not going to have a good career. Go ahead.
Two things. Just while you're talking about Al Davis and Lane Kiffin, first thing, if there was one thing I felt that would have been like such a Davis touch to McDaniels firing, is if he did the whole projector firing just like his dad did to Lane Kiffin to McDaniels. That would have been amazing.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, I'll send you the links. Yeah,
like maybe send him the link. But
Al Davis thing was overhead projector, like and it just.
So he did like a press conference and like he had the projector behind him with the letter of the reasoning behind his firing or whatever that is. But anyways, that would have been a nice touch in my personal opinion. But when he fired McDonald's. But anyways, you were talking about Danico Autry. I just wanted to ask I forgot. Did we draft him? Was he a UDFA?
He was a UDFA. And if you go look at his stats, every single year he got better, right?
I know.
And then the Colts did not sign him to like a huge contract. And especially if you were going to trade Mac, he should have been like re-signed in a second, right? Because it was 2000.
Yeah, I know. I remember his last year with us was 2017. I thought he did very good. With all things considered. I mean, a UDFA, like, a lot of people fall in love with UDFAs, but for me, it's just like, if we can get even just a good rotational guy, that's a big win. And Danico Autry worked from that to becoming, I believe he was at one point starting on the interior, and I thought he did a good enough job for us without being a superstar, but he's been playing fairly well since he's been with us, from my understanding. I like Danico. I always liked him.
No, he gets consistently like 8-9 sacks a year. So
right, that's great for he's more of an interior guy, isn't he?
He is an interior.
Or is he playing on the outside now?
He plays in the interior. He's almost 300 pounds. He's an interior guy. So
yeah. I remember when he was with the Raiders.
Or if he does play on the outside, he plays outside in like a 3-4. So so he's an inside DT or outside 3-4 guy, right? So
Danico is definitely a guy I like. Would be nice in the interior. Right?
I actually agreed with 90% of what you were saying, like, because I think I did an article, like I had this site called RaiderGreats.com. It's just a blog site. And I mostly do old school Raiders, but like I did talk about why. So I had an article on why we should fire McDaniels after about week 2 or 3. And then I had an article why we're here. And I did a whole article on blaming Gruden. And I think now, because McDaniels was such a disaster, I don't think enough of the blame, and you don't want to live in the past, but is not going towards Gruden and Mayock, because like you said, those first round picks, okay, you hit on Renfro and Crosby, but those first and second round picks were so horrible under Gruden and Mayock, especially when we traded, Cooper and Mack, for a bunch of them. That the whole point of those trades is you had to hit on those picks, and they failed miserably. So there's these
2020 draft class is one of the worst of all time, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. If it hasn't for sorry. Now you go, man.
I was just going to say that we definitely missed a lot on those first and second rounds, but like what I will give Gruden and Mayock credit for is like a lot. We did find value with guys I just highlighted, like with Max finding a superstar in round 4, Hunter Renfro, Foster Moreau. Now we've got guys like Nate Hobbs, who took a third-year leap. Divine Diablo took a third-year leap. Trayvon Morik has taken a third-year leap. Malcolm Kuntz, Amik Robertson's another guy who's still around on our roster. These are guys who are value guys for where we picked them. But it's just like with the last 2 draft classes, I know it's still early days, but I don't know, man. Like I
Those are
don't see
horrible.
any of these guys being of the caliber of say Max Crosby or a Hunter
we
Renfro.
should
You
be
know what I'm saying?
reaping. We should be reaping the benefits of those guys as all pros at this point, right? Like the guys that we're reaping the benefits of are okay players. I mean, they're not game changers. Besides, Crosby, yes, but some of the other guys, the guys that from 3 or 4 years ago now should be guys that are leading the NFL in categories, and we've completely missed those guys, and that kills a franchise.
And fairness, are some of these guys okay? I agree with you on Amik,
and not only again, but I go back to which we're not talking about that much. We're talking about draft picks, but free agency, like. Fuck.
Well, Colt Miller, remember, he's one of the better left tackles in the league. Let's not forget about him.
Yes.
Well, like here, the thing too is, okay, these guys are solid players you're talking about. But like, for example, with Hobbs, I like Hobbs. I think he's a good player. But is he really getting that much better? I see him kind of, he's leveled out to me. Like, in that Kansas City game after the first quarter,
I think Hobbs is who he is.
Hobbs was terrible. He was the worst player on the field other than Peters in the last 3 quarters of that Kansas City game. He allowed a perfect passer rating against him in the Kansas City game. So it's like okay, he's good, but
he played good. He played good in the first quarter and a half.
Yeah. But
I will say he's good as that box guy though, like as an extra run support, and like at least he can make his tackles. Unlike that other guy,
he's our best. He's our best tackler in the secondary by far.
Yeah, he is a good tackler.
Yes.
But Stu, do you think he's more of a safety? I almost think Hobbs is more of a safety because he doesn't run well, especially when he has guys in open space.
You know what? With the way that I see him tackle, I think he could play safety. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would you have him over, Morag or
Epps? Epps is just struggling with these injuries. He keeps getting injured. Like he made a great tackle on that, 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1 or whatever it was that he came in and put his shoulder. And then Morag struggles in the red zone. He's not as deep as he used to get, which drove me crazy, but he tackles too high. Hit these guys low in the red zone, man. I mean, all they're going to do is push you down. They're going to push forward. If you chop their legs out, at least you get a chance to stop them. But on that short yardage, he always goes so high and they run right by him.
And to elaborate on the draft pick things, actually amazing. The Raiders are 5-7, will probably be like a 7 to 8 win team. Because when you miss on that many guys, you should be like a 3-win team. You should be maybe. The thing is, we have a very top heavy roster. We got Colt Miller, one of the best left tackles in the league. Jacobs, one of the best running backs. Adams, one of the best receivers, and Crosby, defensive end. So we have this like roster that's got like these 4 kind of like superstars or stars.
Devontae Adams.
And then like the bottom of the roster is like very, below par, to say the least. And
Robert Spillane, he's
Spillane. I put up
and Jacoby Myers are probably the 2 free agents that have been 2 of the 2 best ones with the McDaniel regime.
To me, Spillane and Myers are 2 best players, to be honest with you.
Right.
They've really turned into, marquee.
Spillane's been a pleasant surprise. And the linebacker core, to be honest,
I just love, even though we didn't get it, but him just ripping that ball out and just being around. And again, with that Watson, when he came over and boom, gave him that freaking chicken wing and knocked him down. Now, after you hit the guy, guard him. But I like his physicality. He is again, when we talk about the Raider image, he is what you expect, man. I mean, he's no nonsense. Right. He doesn't take shit. He plays within the rules. He's tough. He knows where he's supposed to do. Yeah. And Crosby, again, the Spillane and Crosby, I looked at the stat, 98% of the snaps. The closest defensive lineman to that is 89% of the snaps, then 85. And I don't remember the guys, but if you listen to what he says, that's how I practice. He's never missed a game in his NFL career. Never missed a game because he practices that way. And I guarantee you, Spillane practices the same way that you see him playing out there. And practice is other sports, baseball, hockey, basketball. Practice, a lot of games don't even mean shit.
Like
In
if
the
you look at the
NFL, practice is so crucial, and that's why I would. And I know this. AP knows the importance of practice, so I know they're getting the prop. Before that, when people would say, "Well, Stu, what do you think of the Raiders?" I said, for me to actually get a true evaluation of the Raiders, I would need to be in there for the entire week. How do they watch the game film? How do they take notes? How do they work out? How do they take care of their body? How are the coaches coaching them? How do they practice? How if they make a mistake in a defense, if it's a defensive period, and they make a mistake, do they go back and correct it, or they just say, "Hey, no, I'll make sure to cover that, and that won't happen in the game"? Is the scout team giving them good looks? Are you having starters play on scout team to make sure the offense is getting good looks? That all goes into it. Practice is so crucial in the NFL. Like that's where you get your work done. Like that is so huge. So to see how these guys practice, that's everything. But I can guarantee you this: Crosby and Spillane play the same way they play on Sunday as they do throughout the week in practice. That's why those guys are out there, and they're again 98% of the snap would be linemen making these plays, never missing because he is doing what he needs to do in practice during the week. These other guys, probably not. They probably I'll make sure, coach, I'm gonna get that in the game. I don't know. I haven't seen you do it yet. So I can't just take your word for it. I need to see if you're not doing it in practice, the chances of you doing it in the game are slim to none. I don't care who you are. Charles Woodson in practice made the same amazing plays in a game he did throughout the entire week during practice. It wasn't all of a sudden he just shows up on game day and wow, like comes out of nowhere. He was doing those same things in Nnamdi Asomugha was doing those same things in practice.
What about your boy Derek Burgess?
Doing the same things in practice.
And the thing is to talk about again those draft busts, the guys of the last few years, like that young guy and those defensive tackle. I think the one guy you're talking about, Butler, he's on the practice squad. Those guys aren't showing anything in practice, because it's not just like they're getting the 20 snaps. Oh, he didn't do anything. They're not getting those snaps because they're not showing anything in practice.
And I know this.
You've taken four interior guys, and none of them have emerged yet. That to me is concerning.
Traded one guy to the Chiefs.
Four interior. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We took in the last two under the McDaniels Ziegler regime. We took four interior guys in the last two draft classes, and none of them have panned out. The guy who I've seen the most potential with, who's languishing, who's not even activated, is Nesta Silvera. That other guy, Byron Young, what's he done? Nothing. Nada.
Nothing. He's been nothing when he's played.
I remember that.
Can I just ask a question before I got to get going because I've just finished training. I just wanted to ask you because I asked you in the chat. I guess we're circling back to it. I know I'm sounding like a hypocrite because I did preach patience with the guy, and I'm going to give him time. But at the same time, I'm looking at the now and taking everything into consideration. Tyree Wilson. How concerned are you with him and what he's shown so far?
Very.
Being that he's a first rounder.
Very, very, very. Again, for a am I correct? 7th overall pick.
Yeah.
Right? As a defensive end. Now, 7th overall pick as a receiver, as a running back, as a quarterback, there's some time. As a 7th overall pick, as a rush end, you should be out there and being a difference maker. And again,
right.
I know people have issues with Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp is one of my closest friends, a guy I talk to every week. I asked Warren after week 2, I said, what? He said, nope, dud. He's a dud. He said, there's no explosiveness. There's no moves. The only thing good is he holds outside contain. That's it.
Did you see that breakdown that Warren Sapp did on Tyree Wilson early in the season?
I did not, but I'm sure it wasn't good.
He posted a breakdown on social media. You saw that, Dave?
Yeah, with the no explosiveness, I just think he's like 60% or 70% because of that foot injury. But it's like, don't draft that guy then at number 7. Yeah. So, and I did read one medical article. The doctor was saying,
did he perform any combine drills at all before the draft?
No, he missed half a training camp. He didn't show up until the middle of August.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And that's my issue with him and Jimmy G, is that these guys.
So now I'm looking at it going. And here's the deal. I don't blame Wilson, right? I'm not. What are you gonna? Oh, hey, don't draft me. Don't take me. Like that's completely on the Raiders for putting him as that 7th pick overall. And then now, because we're under the expectations that you're the number 7th fucking pick overall. I remember some 7th overall picks who became Hall of Famers, and that's the type of guy you're expecting to get. And if, first of all, he's hurt and he's not even at 100%, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, look at Josh Allen.
Like I said,
look at Josh Allen, not the quarterback.
Gosh, I know you got to leave, but go ahead.
No. I'll let Dave finish and then I'll finish.
Yeah, look at Josh Allen, the defensive end for Buffalo. Oh, sorry, Jacksonville. He was the 7th pick. There's a perfect example. 7th pick. He's got 10.5 sacks. No, Josh Allen.
No, not Jared Allen. Jared Allen's the Vikings, wasn't he?
He was drafted by Kansas City from Idaho.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about Josh Allen. He plays for the Jaguars. Josh Allen was the guy we should have took when we took Cleve Farrell.
From Kentucky, right? From Kentucky?
From Kentucky, yeah. So, and perfect. He's 7th overall pick, and he's playing. He's never made. He only made a Pro Bowl his rookie year, but he's playing. He's got 12 sacks this year with in 11 games. Like that's how a 7th overall pick should play, basically.
So Afakasi, leave us with your.
That was what I was going to circle back to. Is that the. Like I said, maybe I'm sounding like a hypocrite saying we need to be patient with Tyree, and I'm going to try and give him time. But at the same time, when I'm thinking about the now, I already highlighted the stink of it is like with our previous draft picks that we've taken in the first round, where we've waited for these guys to develop in the last 11, 12 years that weren't day one contributor starters or good starters. You know what I'm saying? Like the only guy who panned out was Colton Miller. Because remember, he didn't have a good first year, but he eventually turned out to be a very good player. But like the other stink of it is Cleve Farrell. You know what I mean? Like he's a guy, another defensive end we took and we reached for early who, yes, he did some things like it was a pretty good run stuffer, but as a number 3 pick, he just wasn't anywhere near good enough for where we picked him. Not his fault, but at the same time, that's where we chose him. And for me, like with Tyree, what's really concerning is that like he's showing me less potential than Cleve Farrell did, and even to a point, Arden Key in their rookie years, and that scares me. That really scares me.
That is because of the injury. That's what I'll give it. But in terms of sticking with him long term, I think Wilson only gets one more year. Like they'll do what they did to Leatherwood if he doesn't.
No. I think you can take Wilson and put him as a D tackle. That's what I thought from the initial. I think so. Man. I see him as a Tommy Kelly. I see him being a guy that can, his length, he can fill up 2 gaps. He can get his hands up, right? He's a tall guy, create a little, at least a distraction for the quarterback. You don't have to be as fast. You have to be stout, right? Hold that position, take up 2 blockers for the linebacker behind you. I think he can do that.
I mean, I'm not a technical expert. I mean, I'm just a fan. I'm just calling it as I see it, and I'm not even going to pretend like I know the ins and outs of offensive line, defensive line play. But being a lengthy guy with athletic abilities, I mean, does he have that size and girth to be like a Tommy Kelly? Like when I'm watching him, he's routinely getting stonewalled. You know what I mean? Like he's not able to get off his blocks, and we need someone in that interior who can at least cause disruption. And do you see that being Tyree? As
a D tackle, sometimes you don't need to penetrate. You just need to hold that line of scrimmage and do not let those offensive linemen get to the second level on your linebackers.
I think the issue with him not getting in the backfield too,
and again, one thing that he does is he does hold his position. He holds his gap. That is one thing he does. And that's something I am going to talk about later on in the second half of this game was I don't like the way that our D tackles jump gaps and it fucks shit up. I think he's a guy that can come down, power up, hold the guy in here, hold his gap, keep those linemen from getting to the second level. He can get his hands up. If a running back does come through a gap, I think he's got the long arms to grab the guy. He's strong enough. You don't need explosiveness from a D tackle necessarily. You just need a guy that can not give up anything, not give up any yards at the line of scrimmage. And just, again, I mean, Ted Washington's only job was to sit there and do literally like this. That was all he did, and just put his hands up. Like, I think he can. I mean, again, that's a nose tackle on a two gapping, 3-4 defense. But I'm saying I think you can still take the guy and put him at that D tackle position, and I think he can be salvageable. Not at the end.
I guess it brings me back to what I was talking about with the.
At the end, absolutely not. He'll never be a defensive end in the NFL. He won't.
Well, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we're wrong about that. Maybe it is his foot injury. Hopefully it is that is the case, and then he can take the off season to rest up, and then second year he can at least show. I'm not asking him to be a Pro Bowler and All Pro whatnot, but he needs to show progression year 2. But I guess like you're talking about the interior, it brings me back to again what I was saying, the misses in the draft. Like look at what we've done with drafting interior. We have missed the last 2 classes. We drafted 4 guys. None of them emerged yet. Even before that, we took guys like PJ Hall. I know you said Jihad Ward, but when he was with us, he didn't do nada. You know what I mean? Eddie Vanderdoes. You know what I'm saying? Like we have missed and missed and missed. Like Danico Autry, yes, he was a hit, but how long ago was that? Like him and Justin Ellis were the 2 best interior guys, and that was like nearly a decade ago.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
He was a free agent, but Jonathan Hankins was good, and then,
but I'm talking about the draft specifically. Drafting
I'm saying
interior guys, like, you know what I'm saying?
I went over a whole bunch of guys.
Missed.
I went over a whole bunch of guys who were this is where we're disagreeing, because I went over like 6 players that are now good players in the NFL, and if we had 3 of them, we'd have a quality defensive line. But we let them all go. Okay, they didn't perform on the Raiders, but why was it? Obviously, they're not bad players. A lot of these guys have been in the league for 7-8 years. It was because I just think we have crappy coaching too. And they couldn't develop these.
So who else besides Jihad Ward and you think
Shelby Harris? Shelby Harris.
Yes, I remember Shelby Harris. Yes,
yeah. Mario Edwards.
Even Shelby Harris, that was 9 years ago, wasn't he? That was 2014.
Like 8 years ago. But that's what I'm trying to say. These guys. 2014. But at the time, we considered them busts too, or not good players. And a lot of them have been in the league a long time. They've been like at least solid players, So, But
also too, it's also about getting the right player in the right system at the right time with the right coaches. So just because a guy is performing well for another team 6 years down the road doesn't mean he'd be performing well for us 6 years. At the same time,
but Stu, look at a guy like Maurice Hurst. He's playing really well this year for the Browns.
But again, he was a guy that, for whatever reason, probably didn't fit into what was going on. Now he's in a better situation.
No one fits with what's going on.
But look, that's 2 guys in a lot. Like Shelby Harris, that was 2014. So how many seasons? That was like 9-10 years ago. But okay, say Jihad Ward and Mo Hurst. But every other guy, Eddie Vanderdoes, PJ Hall, freaking the 4 guys we've drafted in the last 2 years, you know what I mean? Like those are just some of the names. Like, I mean, exactly. Like it's to my point, like we've tried and we've tried and we've tried hitting on like finding someone through the draft process on that interior, and we just haven't been able to find it. You know what I'm saying? And it's hurting us in the long run. Crickets.
Yeah, no, so I didn't see Stu
Sorry
leave the
about
room. I
that.
was looking
Sorry
at
about that. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I was looking at. Yeah,
What-
I forgot about Eddie Vanderdoes because he was very forgettable. So
Exactly. To my point. To my
Yeah.
point.
I would say this: you can't just because a player is doing well later on, it doesn't mean that he would at that same point in his 7th year, if he would have been 7 years with the Raiders, he'd be performing the way he's performing at year 7 with another team. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, like I said,
Right.
coaching is a lot of it. Like, would Autry be the player he was with us right now? Because
Well, he was trending upwards. He was trending upwards. Every year he was with us. Being that like you said he was a UDFA, right?
Yeah, he was but like the question is, remember, he came in, he left the year that Gruden came in. So under Paul Gunther, when he did anything, because Paul Gunther is horrible, so like as a coach. So it's hard to know too.
At the same time, like he was still trending up every year he was with us. There's a reason why he was quick to get snapped up like in free agency.
Oh yeah,
by a
he
team
got
like the
snapped up
Colts,
real
you know what I
quick.
mean? Like,
I know.
yeah, exactly.
I
I
told
have
Stu
nothing
one
but
time.
great things to say about Danico.
Stu played with a guy named Chris Clemens. He played 1 year with the Raiders. Last year, Stu was with the Raiders. He had 7 sacks.
Yeah.
And then he went on. He was part of that Seattle defensive line that won the Super Bowl. Like, and why didn't
And
we
I tell you
keep
what,
this-
Chris Clemens, I was taller and probably weighed more than Chris Clemens. He wasn't a very big guy
No, he wasn't. Yeah.
at all.
So-
Oh wow.
But he was a good player. No, he was a very good player. And I would say that you have like we've talked about bad coaching, right? Guys, there's bad coaching all over the place.
Oh,
Like
totally.
that's why you see usually the same teams making it to the Final Four every year, right? It's their coaching staff and their ability to put players in their system that fit their system, that highlight their attributes, that the season fits together where this guy doesn't get hurt or this guy doesn't get arrested or this coach doesn't do something stupid or whatever. Like there's a lot of factors that go into affecting a team.
Yeah, well, it's looking like in the AFC almost every year the last 10 years, even though, outside of a year or two here and there, it's like the Ravens, the Ravens and the Chiefs are going to compete every single year. And it's because of coaching for the most part, right?
Yeah,
So,
and having consistent coaches and not having it every
and
year.
if you really want to look at, forget all the drafting and this and that, what haven't the Raiders had in the last 20 years? We have not had a quality head coach. It all stems kind of from that in the end, right? So,
I thought Del Rio did a good job. I thought he got the rough end of the stick. I like Del Rio.
His first run or his first run, yeah.
When he fired Musgrave for
He only
that
had one
downing,
run with us,
that was the end of him. Yeah.
Who'd you say? Sorry.
Bill Musgrave, he was offensive coordinator.
Sorry, forgive me. I thought you said
right.
for some reason I thought you said Gruden. Sorry.
No, I said Del Rio. That and losing the locker room with that the Redskins game incident.
Yeah.
What happened with that? What happened with that?
It was like
explain, Dave?
Yeah, it was right after the
What year is this?
It was 2017. It was after
2017.
Trump made those comments about Kaepernick, and then everyone around the league decided to kneel. So a lot of the guys in the Raiders locker room wanted to do that, and Del Rio said no. And then they had a big argument before the game, and supposedly that was like the end of the team. So
right. Just to get more in depth with that, so basically, Marshawn Lynch was like the second guy to openly take a knee, or one of the first guys to take a knee after Colin Kaepernick, and he was our running back. So a lot of other players and teams were following suit. Everybody on the Raiders team took a knee except for Del Rio and Carr. And that season, we started the season, the first 2 weeks, we were rolling. We were looking good. We were continuing on where we left off in 2016. Because remember, we went to the playoffs, but Derek Carr got injured. Anyways, that game, because word has it, like the rumor has it, because Derek Carr didn't take the knee, the offensive line, our started offensive line with probably one of the best offensive lines we've had, or at least in my time as a Raider fan, they all of a sudden stopped blocking for Derek Carr, and they leaked so many sacks, and Derek Carr got like he got pretty banged up that game, and the season never recovered from that game.
What game of the season was that?
2017, the third game. The third game.
Because we won the first 2 games. We actually beat the brakes off the Jets. That was the game where Marshawn Lynch was dancing. Everybody was happy at the Coliseum. We were looking like we were expecting to make a deep playoff run that season. And then the Redskins game happened, and it just all went downhill from there.
The offense was a huge part of it. The offense was a huge part of that year. I remember I saw a breakdown. I think even though I can't stand Chris Collinsworth for the most part, he talked about it. He said either the Raiders would go into I formation with Lynch or be totally spread 5 wide. So what they were doing made no sense because they weren't using play action or doing this and that. And so they were just either like 5 wide or in a power formation.
Yeah, so they go on the road and they beat the Titans 26-16. And then they come home and beat the Jets 20-45. And then they play the Commanders, Redskins, and they lose 10-27, and then lose to the Broncos, and then the Ravens, and then the Chargers, and then they beat the Chiefs.
It just all went downhill from there.
Yeah, in the Bronco game, I think Carr broke a bone in his back too. So he was kind of he wasn't healthy the rest of the year either.
Was that the game where they highlighted that he was crying on the field? Remember, there was a big deal about that back then. It was all over ESPN. But yeah, he was taking a lot of shots that year, and that was like a point of interest, being that we still had our started offensive line, right?
Yeah, and then the offense
and this is all because of Colin Kaepernick.
No, man, that got the ball rolling, So
there was more layers to it. I mean, defensively, we had Khalil Mack and a few players here and there, but we weren't as good as what we were hoping we'd be that year either.
Stu, that year, I remember this. They didn't have an interception till the 12th week. And it was Navarro Bowman, and it was a deflected pass, and he was laying on the ground.
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
And we only just signed him, didn't we? We only just signed him middle of the season.
Well, you're talking about defensive tackles. One thing we haven't had until this year with Spillane, we have not been able to find a good linebacker for Bill Romanowski 20 years ago. It was been ridiculous.
Right. Well, Denzel Perryman, I thought, was the best of the bunch. Since the days of Kirk Morrison and Thomas Howard. You know what I'm saying?
Thomas Howard and Kurt Morrison. That's going to say, yeah.
Perryman had that.
Since then, Slim Pickens.
Perryman had that 1 year. Wasn't it just that 1 year?
He was okay the second year.
He was with us 2 years.
Didn't he get injured?
But I guess that's for me, I made a point before the season that I thought one of the glaring weaknesses on defense was the linebacker position until proven otherwise, and it just goes to show what Antonio Pierce has done coaching that position. You know what I mean? It's actually the point of strength. I mean, I scoffed at the notion of Spillane. I'm not gonna lie. When we signed, I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy, Spillane?" He sure showed me he's every bit as good as, if not then some, than what anybody expected. Diablo, for me, has taken a 3rd-year leap. He's doing pretty good. Masterson is a good depth guy. I mean, for a position I thought was going to be a point of weakness, a glaring point of weakness, has been a point of strength.
Masterson's had some good plays against Kansas City. I mean, he's again
as a depth guy, he's doing pretty good.
Yeah. No, I had the same feeling on Spillane when I'm like, Spillane, and then even
Spillane, who the fuck is this guy?
Even Myers, I was like, this is a big signee. This guy's not really. He's just an average dude. I wasn't expecting too much from him, but. I kind
of like the Myers signing because he was super productive.
I think Myers is our best offensive weapon, to be honest with you. I mean,
he was super productive.
Myers got more hype than Spillane. Myers, you said that, Dave. You like Myers. There was quite a few people who liked the signing of Myers, but I'll give credit where it's due. the guy I used to do lives with, Wayward Aussie, Aussie Raider. He was the only guy I know who spoke very highly of Spillane before the season. Like myself included, I scoffed at the very notion of Spillane, but he's proven to be probably shit.
You know
He
what, I
could
thought
outside of
Spillane was
Max Crosby, the MVP on the defensive side of the ball.
for years, like we signed
How
that
about
one.
this? How about this? Greg Beaker.
Yeah, Beaker was a really good player. Yeah.
Right.
What did we do with him? We got rid of him, and then he.
Well, that Beaker's like 90s.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see a D-Buck 77
Way before my time.
Yeah, he was like 90s.
with the Greg Beaker throwback.
Hey guys, I got to get going, but
Okay.
Stu, it's been really good to catch up with you again. Dave, it's been a pleasure to share the floor with you, even if we
Absolutely.
don't agree on our takes. Like it's good to have some objectivity.
Hey, listen, I don't
Anybody
want
else
I don't want all of us.
comment?
Hey, Afakasi, I don't want us all in here saying the same thing. That doesn't do any good. So
Unfortunately, you reminded me of Eddie Vanderdoos. I totally had forgotten about that guy.
Well, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you pulled up, dude. Let's try to talk. Give me a call sometime when you can, and we can catch up on our personal lives. All right.
All right, man. You take care, Stu. And Dave, nice to meet
problem,
you. RaiderGrace.com, that's your website, yeah?
Yeah. You'll like some of the blogs.
Okay.
Especially because I know you know more
that's
modern stuff. There's some old players in there, so I talk about. So
Right. Well, my knowledge from when I started in 2000, I started being a Raider fan in 2000.
Give what do you have going on? Give your where people can find you and what you have going on. And
well, my name's right there, Afakazi Raider. I'm just another small-time YouTuber finding his way in this YouTube game. I do some post-game shows, usually around Monday, 5:00 p.m. Pacific time. I do some other stuff like Raider related, but that's we just have a bit of fun on my side of town. But I was just saying to you, Dave, like my knowledge when it comes to like when I first started being a Raider fan, I know just about most things in detail in terms of players and what we did that year since 2009. Before that, it's I know what I know, but it's still limited. You know what I mean? Because it's before my time. I wasn't able to be a part of that or watch that. I have to do my research and watch what little game time I can. You know what I mean? So it's always good to learn about like the era before I started being a fan. And Stu, you've helped me out with that. Like you're talking about players like your boy Darrell Burgess, right?
Derek Burgess.
Derek Burgess, and some of the other names like you talked about like Hiram Eugene and Namdi Azamite, Charles Woodson, the guy who was drafted to replace
Ronaldo Hill,
Kirk Morrison, Thomas Howard.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it helps me like grow my knowledge as a Raider fan, learning it like about the stuff before.
You say 09, that was right. You're coming in right when I left. So
yes. You were still, I think you were part of the Lions back then, but
I'm learning from 09 to about 2019 from you guys because I didn't even watch any of I didn't know anything about the Raiders.
So you're doing me a favor by learning about your era, and we're doing you a favor learning about the stuff
absolutely.
In between before 2019. But
anyway,
I can get
going about one. You're
all
not
right, Gassi, hey man, have a safe.
Sorry, what did you say, Dan? You said one last thing?
Oh, those 10 years that Stu's talking about, other than one, you wasn't missing very much.
Well, there was still some, moments, games, players that you don't want to forget, so to say. Like, I mean, Stu is one of them. Like, Thomas Howard, Kirk Morrison, Charles Woodson, Namdi Azamad, Derek Burgess.
No, I think he's saying
like,
09.
No, I mean 09 to 2019. I'm saying he's not missing. He wouldn't miss very much.
I beg to differ. 2011, the 2011-2010 seasons had some dear moments to my heart. I mean, the divine interception, Darren McFadden running riot. You know what I mean? Like we had some moments those years.
Game against the Broncos, and he was the Broncos coach.
Yeah, like remember the game where we put the Broncos to the sword, the Mile High Mauling, 54-14. That was 2010. Yeah. And guess who was the Broncos coach?
McDaniels.
McDaniels, yeah.
Josh McDaniels.
That was essentially the game that ended. He didn't get fired that week, but that was a game that basically ended McDaniels.
Do you remember the divine interception game, 2011?
Which one? Interception? Oh yeah. Against Houston, you mean?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
day
See,
after the day after Al Davis died. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
yes,
So,
yes. The most emotional moment for me as a fan. I'll never forget
I
that game.
thought that was
Do you remember
Huff.
the
I thought Huff
Jacoby
picked
Ford?
it off.
no,
Yeah,
it's
it was
called
Michael Huff.
Divine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Huff,
Oh,
but like
the divine intercept.
yeah,
Okay.
because there was only 10 guys on the field, and they say like the 11th guy was Al Davis. So
Yeah.
Did they do that on purpose?
no, it's because
No,
our
it was
defensive
the personnel
coordinator
change error.
is
It was an error.
an idiot.
Makes sense though. And no, when you're saying divine, I'm like, divine. Who is divine for the?
It was
No.
what was his name? It was the same defensive coordinator the Raiders had the year they made the Super Bowl in 2002. They brought him back in
Was that
2011.
defensive coordinator that year?
Yeah, in 2011. Because remember, we let the guy from 2010 go, Marshall, and then the guy in 2011. was
You
gone.
said 2011 year.
2011. He was the same defensive coordinator that was the defensive coordinator of the year. I don't know how I'm forgetting this. He was the defensive coordinator. Of the year.
Al Saunders was the quarterback offensive coordinator.
Chuck Bresnahan.
Steven Eric Sand. Okay. Chuck Bresnahan. I remember that name. Yeah.
Or do you
he
remember
was-
that game against the Chiefs where Jacoby Ford popped off? Where
was
he got
at
that
that
return touchdown. Yeah.
was at
Well,
that-
there you go. There's some more moments. Yeah,
Yeah,
there were some
speaking of-
games and some moments in that period of time.
Well,
Yeah,
Rod
but
Woodson was
Jacoby
the corner. Rod Woodson was the cornerback coach of that 2011 team.
They actually, even though the defense wasn't very good that year, they had a lot of interceptions that year. I do remember that.
Well, in
They-
2011,
Yeah,
Yeah.
2011. Yeah,
I
they
thought they were pretty
created.
decent. I mean, look at the names like Tommy Kelly, Richard Seymour, Lamar Houston, Tyvon Branch, Michael Huff. Kamari Wimbley,
Tyrone Branch,
Lamar.
Giordano. He was a good little safety. Michael
He
Huff.
wasn't that good. Matt Gino wasn't that good.
Stanford Rao, Lito Shepard. Let's see, linebackers.
But look at that defensive line. Look at the defensive line.
Yes,
So
especially
That was probably the best.
Mason. So you had Mason Brodeen, Desmond Bryant, John Henderson, Lamar Houston, Tommy Kelly, Jarvis Moss, Trevor Scott, and Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour. Yeah,
Richard. In 2010,
that
especially
was a
that
defensive line to be feared.
Yeah, in 2010, that might have been the best defensive line in the league. They dropped off a little in 2011, but part of the reason that Matt Shaughnessy, he got hurt.
You had great special teams. John Kondo,
Shaughnessy was a good player.
Janikowski, and Leckler.
Yeah, one of the better. See that they continued the legacy of the Raiders having they were the original legacy, I guess. After Ray Guy, having Sean Leckler and Sebastian Janikowski, John Kondo, the long snapper, and then after him it was Marquette King.
Those were my guys,
Janikowski
man. Those were my guys during my era. I love those.
But Jacoby Ford, one of the better, one of the best kickoff returners in the league.
Yeah,
went off of that
Jacoby
game I was just
Ford,
talking about.
Hayward Bay,
Jacoby
Hushman
Ford.
Tata,
Denarius Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darren
Moore was
McFadden,
one of those-
when he was healthy for me, one of the best
Michael Bush.
offensive players in the league.
Michael Bush,
One of the better
Darren
complementary
McFadden.
running backs in the league.
Then you had Jason Campbell, Carson Palmer, Terrell Pryor.
Denarius Moore was one of
Jason
those guys.
Campbell was doing.
Denarius Moore is one of those guys who never really took the next step. He was a good player, but he had the skill set to be like an elite wide receiver, and I don't know, it just never happened.
Right.
So
Yeah, those first 2 years he was in the league, he showed so much potential, and then he just never realized it. Come year 3 or year 4, but I remember 2011 was his rookie year, I believe. We drafted him, and he was emerged out of nowhere. Jacoby Ford had a very good year that year. But it's just to my point. I was just trying to say that there was still some dear moments that were dear to my heart in that time frame between 2010 and 2011. That's why I love that era of Raider football, even if we didn't make the playoffs.
And I'm telling you, that 2010 defensive line, okay, they were still good in 2011, but 2010 they were really good. They were maybe the best defensive line in the league. The
best defensive line we've had in
Look
since
at
maybe your days.
The standings in the AFC West: Broncos 8-8, Chargers 8-8, Raiders 8-8, Kansas City 7-9.
Stu, the last game of 2011, the winner of the Chargers. Oh no, I think the Broncos ended up winning the division. No. If the Raiders would have won that
Denver
game,
did. Yeah, we lost to the Chargers.
I remember.
was horrible. The Chargers did not punt the whole game.
I know.
And I think the Raiders were down by like 3, and they punted. Leckler pinned him in at like the 1 yard line, and the Chargers went like 99 yards in 4 plays and won.
I was heartbroken when we didn't make the playoffs that year. I really thought we had a chance. But do you remember the week before? Because remember the last 2 weeks we only had to win one game to qualify for the playoffs.
The week before.
The week before we played. Do you remember the Lions game, Dave? Do you remember the Lions game?
That was 2 weeks before.
Yeah, I know that. I know, but like we only had needed to win one of those 2 games, and we would have made the playoff. But do you remember the Lions game where at just before halftime, on 4th and 2, if we'd have kicked the field goal, we would have won the game. Instead, we go for it. We missed Denarius Moore on a pass, I think it was, and we ended up losing by I think like 2 points or something like that.
No,
but do you remember in the last quarter?
28-27.
There were so many screw-ups that game.
Exactly.
Tommy Kelly sacked Matthew Stafford. We got a touchdown, right? And we went up 27-14. And
Aaron Curry picked it up for a touchdown.
No, and then the idiot Hugh Jackson didn't go for 2, up 26-14, right? Which means that you get 2 is 28-14, and then maybe even if Detroit tied it at 28. And then on the game-winning Detroit touchdown drive, they had Ronaldo McClain on Calvin Johnson.
Yes,
do you remember that
remember that. Rolando McClain one-on-one in a 3rd and long situation with Calvin freaking Johnson.
Yeah, and they hit Johnson on
How does that happen?
And I can't really blame McClain for that. Like that was just terrible coaching. Yeah. So
I know, but how does that happen? We had them deep pinned 3rd and long, and you've got Rolando McClain one-on-one with the best wide receiver in the game.
By the way, as much as bad as McClain ended up being later on, he was really good in 2011. He had like 5 sacks and 100 tackles and a whole bunch of passes defense. He was really good. I think that was his 2nd year. He was really a good guy.
I don't know if he was very good, man. I hated that guy.
No,
he was a bad Raider. Bad Raider.
Really good the 2nd year. The 3rd year.
At the exact date it is right now, the Raiders were 7-4, and then they went 1-4 in the last 5 games that year.
Yeah. That was huge.
We were rolling when we had Jason Campbell, because Jason Campbell was having a very, very good year. To me, the second best quarterback we've had in our roster outside of Derek Carr in the last 12 years was that first portion of 2011 was Jason Campbell. He was, for me, the guy until he went down injured. We ended up making a trade and for Carson Palmer. For me, just wasn't it. And we just couldn't get over the hump with Carson
Well, you know
Palmer.
what happened when they made the trade to Palmer? There was 2 things that happened. McFadden got hurt the first game.
Yes.
Right?
I remember.
And then they turned into a passing team rather than a power running team. And when they had McFadden and Bush, they were a power running team. They were a better team that way. And then Palmer just threw he put up good numbers in like whatever the 10 games he started, but he threw too many interceptions. He like made way too many mistakes, you know?
He just wasn't it.
So,
and I get that, like, you know, he was playing like halfway through the season. I mean, do you remember the game right after the Campbell trade where we were trying to have like a bit of a grace period? So do you remember Kyle Bowler? We had him
he was terrible.
That for me, of any quarterback I've ever seen play for the Raiders, even more so maybe than Jamarcus Russell, that was the worst performance I had ever seen from a quarterback ever. It was terrible. It was so bad.
I think Brian Hoyer's game this year was about on par. They're pretty equal.
You think like it was worse than Kyle Bowler's? I don't know, man. He was throwing pick sixes left, right, and center that game. It was terrible.
Yeah. No, I know. They had. I think that game, the Chiefs had 6 interceptions, and
there you go. It was horrible.
And 2 or 3 pick sixes.
Bowler from fucking Cal.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so bad. It was.
Dude,
so
go look
bad.
at the Raiders lost 28-0. Go look at the box score. Like the first play of the game, almost Bowler throws a pick six, right?
Right.
Yeah. And
But
you're just kind of like,
you're right about like Darren McFadden, like when he went down
he
injured.
threw 0 touchdowns in let's see, he started 1 game. He threw
And-
0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions.
And by the way, man, that injury almost like ruined McFadden's, basically ruined his career. He was never quite the same because that was a Liz Frank injury, right?
Well,
and he was
what is it? What is it?
a Liz Frank injury. It's like an injury in like the middle of your foot. It's a really bad injury for a running back, right?
Right.
And McFadden just was never the same again after that injury. Yeah.
was
But
wondering
before that happened, though, and this is just my personal take. Like I know most people are not going to agree with me, but I don't care. This is just how I feel. To me, Darren McFadden was one of, if not the most, he was one of the most dangerous players in the league at that time on a team that wasn't that good. And in his prime, I would take him over just about every other running back that we've had in the last 20 years, even more so than Jacob. That's just my personal opinion. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
In 2010, you could argue he was maybe the best running back in the league. So, and over the first six games,
we weren't that good of a team, and for him to be running as well as he did on a team that wasn't that great. I mean, we had a decent offensive line. I will give him that, but like Darren McFadden, there was a reason why when you watch Raider games on TV, the only like player that you'd see who's a current player you'd see whose jersey was in the stands
Number
was
20.
McFadden, and maybe Nnamdi Asomugha. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but like no, that
So
team.
what year? Wait, what year are you talking about?
2010.
2010,
McFadden was
2011.
awesome. 2010.
Go have a look at his
2010.
highlights. Like the things he did those 2 years were
He
just
had,
phenomenal.
he started 13 of 13 games, 1,100 yards, averaging 5.
The guy was nearly averaging 5 yards a carry on his
And
run.
go look
on-
at the
on
average.
rushing the ball.
He caught like
touchdowns.
he caught
and
like 50 passes.
Three receiving touchdowns. Dude, he had 47 receptions for 507 yards, averaging 10.8 yards per catch.
McFadden wasn't the bulldozing runner that Josh Jacobs is, but when it comes to shiftiness and breakaway speeds, like once McFadden broke the hole, he was gone. Nobody was catching McFadden, kind of like Bo Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, in 2011, because there was I think it was week 2
He
or
played
3.
another 7 years after that.
Yeah, and
Yeah. He still had a decent career, but he just wasn't the guy he was before the injury. Like he was a superstar before the
he
injury.
had a really good year for Dallas where he had almost 1,100 yards.
2015, yeah.
Yeah. And then,
But
but he
remember,
just
they
went-
had the best offensive line in the league at the time. Remember,
Yeah.
DeMarco Murray rushed for 1,000 yards as well that season.
Yeah, well, that was Bill. I know as much as Raiders fans hate Bill Callahan, Bill Callahan's the best offensive line coach in the league. Like everywhere he goes, especially the running games in those teams are in. Like he's the Browns' offensive line coach, and
Well, see,
their
that's the
running
thing.
game
So
been insane.
there are great position coaches and there's great
Yeah.
head coaches, and they are not mutually exclusive, dude. Like,
Stu, go look up Bill Callahan. It's like Jets, Cowboys, now Browns. Like everywhere he goes, it's like the best running game in the league. Like he is the
it's
best.
like Norv Turner was a great offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I know.
That was his deal. You know,
Right,
Like,
McFadden, who was well removed from his prime, was able to rush for over 1,000 yards, and that's when they had DeMarco Murray as well, who was, I think, it led the league in the with, I think he rushed for like 1,600 yards or something crazy like
the
that.
next year. I think it was yeah. No,
Yeah.
but McFadden, remember a game in 2011 before he got hurt? We played the Jets, and that's when Ryan was the Jets coach, and they still had that defense. And they went down early, and he had this like 70-yard touchdown run where he turned the corner.
Was that the play call from Greg Papa where he says he's gone 10, 5, touchdown Raiders? Yes,
Yeah.
that's
And it was
where
like
the
a
famous play
and
call
that
comes from.
that changed the whole game. Like the Raiders I think the Jets jumped out to a 10-point lead, and then that he had that touchdown that changed the whole game, and the Raiders.
Darren McFadden ran a 4.33 40.
Yeah, that's why he got drafted that year so high.
Like I said, when it like he wasn't the bulldozing runner that Jacobs was, but when it came to breakaway speed, and once he broke the line, he was gone. No one was catching McFadden.
Yeah. I remember I was for them drafting McFadden because I'm an LSU.
11.
I'm an LSU fan, and that the year prior that he got drafted in 2008 in college, or 2007, whatever it was, he had this game against LSU where he basically single-handedly won the game for Arkansas, right? I don't know if you remember, Stu, but LSU used to always play Arkansas on the Black Friday game, right?
Oh no, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and that's when LSU was like, the powerhouse and won national championships and stuff. And And yeah, McFadden and Arkansas was like, a mid-tier team, and he just won the game like single-handedly. That was the same year, by the way, Chris Johnson was drafted by the Titans, later in that first round in 2000.
Did Matt Jones play during McFadden's time? Yeah, he did, right?
Who?
Matt Jones was the quarterback for McFadden, wasn't it?
Yeah, Matt Jones. Yeah, the guy who played wide receiver for, before he had his Coke level. Yeah.
Before him and Reggie Williams got together.
Hey, Dave, I've got a trivia question since you brought it up. Just before I know I said I was going to go like an hour ago. I'm still here sitting in my car after training, but I got a trivia question. Since we remember we drafted Jamarcus Russell, right? What was that? 2007? Okay, 2007. 2007. So since we drafted him, we've drafted by count, I think, 5 quarterbacks. And one of them came from Arkansas. Can you remember his name?
Oh, the guy from Arkansas. I can't remember his name. He was a fourth. He was a 4th round pick, and he never even made the team. He was practice squad his first season. That's how bad he was.
He didn't even make the practice squad. Remember Matt McGloin beat him out?
Yeah, what was his name?
He was a 4th round pick.
Yeah, this
Tyler
guy.
Wilson.
Tyler Wilson. He was so bad, Stu, in preseason.
He was so bad. Like, remember, like that was the year we had.
Name the 5 quarterbacks. Name the 5 quarterbacks.
Okay, so Tyler Wilson was one. Terrell Pryor was another.
Derek Carr.
That idiot from Michigan. The guy who played the playoff game.
Gutierrez or
no. What was his name?
Two C's.
1 second. It'll come to me. His name.
2 C's.
Yeah, Connor Cook. Yeah. 2 C's. Yeah. And I guess Matt McGloin was undrafted. So once again, I said Wilson, Cook, Pryor. I'm trying to think of another one.
Aiden O'Connell.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. Well,
Connor Cook was from Michigan State.
And then you know how bad Tyler Wilson was? I just looked him up. Not only did he never play down for he never played in the NFL, period. Usually
that's what I said. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he was so I remember watching that preseason. He was so bad that and Matt McGloin, to his credit, actually played really well and earned that backup spot that year. And he actually was our backup for a few years after that. He kept beating out people that we were bringing in the door.
Yeah, he was terrible. Dude.
Yeah, a 4th round guy. He didn't even make the practice squad. He was gone out of the league. He stunk.
I remember that preseason as well now because
that's a 4th round pick's a pretty high pick, dude.
He was terrible. He was horrible.
Dude,
wow.
In 89, this is a long time ago, that's Stu, right? But in 89, the Raiders draft, it was 89. I can't remember, it was 89 or 90, something like that. Anyhow, they took like a receiver in like the 4th round. Oh, no, it was 98. It was Gruden's first year. They took this receiver in the 3rd or 4th round and cut him in preseason, and he never played.
Well,
I still remember. I'll get his name right now.
That's better than what that's better than what a lot of stats.
But that's understandable with the other position. But like quarterback, to not even be given a chance to develop, you're just outright get up out of here. You stink so bad. We're not even going to give you a chance to develop. No other team's even going to sign you to the practice squad. You're up out of here. That's how bad the guy was. He was horrible.
What's his name?
Tyler Wilson. The receiver's name was Demaine Douglas. He was 4th round pick in 1999.
Tyler Wilson played for Arkansas.
Tyler Wilson was terrible, dude. No, I remember because what happened is we signed Matt Flynn. Flynn looked terrible in preseason. Terrell Pryor won the starting job, right? Yep. And then McGloin beat out Wilson for the 3rd string job.
Well, dude, listen, at Arkansas, dude, get this. Dude, at Arkansas, his junior year in 2006, he completed 294 passes for 67%, 4,200 yards, 50 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Then his senior year, he threw 4,000 yards, 43 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Holy
He was
smoke.
productive in college. Like there was a
Yeah.
reason why we drafted him fourth overall. Like the production was there at college. I don't know what happened once he hit the pros. He had the most noodle arm like I have seen from a young quarterback in
He was
preseason. It's like I said,
Yeah.
he was so bad we didn't even give
was
him a
the
chance to develop on the
112th
practice squad.
pick.
We just said, no, you're
100
out of here.
112th pick overall. Then he ended up playing for the Titans and the Bengals.
But I don't think he ever
Wow.
played it down
Horrible.
in the NFL. Tyler Wilson.
No, he didn't.
6'2",
He was
185.
terrible.
Yeah. No, he
Oh
was,
my
dude. He
God.
was, he was. I forgot about him because, like, again, he got
Horrible.
drafted in the, yeah.
That's why
Well,
I
I-
asked you, Dave. I was testing your knowledge.
Well, that's crazy. Yeah. Well, guys like that, you just kind of forget because the guy gets cut in preseason.
Sometimes I remember players for the wrong reasons, and Tyler Wilson, I remember for the wrong reasons.
It's the only reason I remember some of these guys is I watched people post the old games on YouTube. And I think I was watching a game from '99. I talked about this Demaine Douglas guy. That was a fourth round receiver. The Raiders cut before the season. And I was just watching one of the '99 games, and one of the announcers was saying, "Oh, Gruden ended up keeping this guy over a fourth round pick," and then they say the guy's name. So sometimes you get stuff like that. But yeah, Tyler Wilson, I totally forgot about it. Yeah, and that was a quarterback bust year for us because Matt Flynn was horrible, and Terrell Pryor became the starter.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah,
right
because
here.
we actually snapped up Matt Flynn because remember Matt Flynn, he balled out in the last game, I think, of 2011 or 2012 for the Green Bay Packers. And then the Seahawks signed him, and he was supposed to be the guy over there. But that's what the year they drafted Russell Wilson, who beat him outright in preseason. Russell Wilson had a great preseason that year. The rest is history. And then Matt Flynn became a free agent the very next year, and we snapped him up hoping he would be the guy.
To be honest, to blunt, man, I don't even think he was a free agent. Signed a 2 or 3 year contract with Seattle. I think we traded for him. It was a really late pick, like 6th or 7th round, but we traded for him because he was just going to be the backup on Seattle, right? And I don't know if you remember,
Russell Wilson came in and took the league by storm.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember though. We cut him. Right, he played one game against Washington. He was terrible that game.
After the Redskins game, yes, I remember.
And we cut him.
His last touchdown was Michael Rivera. Remember?
Yeah, and then he went to Green Bay again, and then Rodgers got hurt, and then he won a couple games in Green Bay and helped Green Bay make the playoffs.
Right.
That same year,
I remember
he was
with us and like Terrell. Yeah, Terrell Pryor took over from Matt Flynn, and I like Terrell Pryor. I mean, for all his flaws, it was never a dull moment with Terrell Pryor quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember that
Matt Flynn? Like I remember, I liked I loved what I was loving what I saw that Redskins game, his last game with us. I thought he was doing well. Remember, we were up 14-0, and that was when he connected with Michael Rivera, and then he saw his sister, R.I.P. to her, Naya Rivera, like celebrating in the stands. Do you remember that?
Stands. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
she passed away. Like she was an actress, right?
Yeah, she died in a boating accident or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Very unfortunate. That was only recently too.
Yeah. We were up 14-0, and then I remember Flynn just could not do anything the rest of the game. No. And then we were up, and I remember he threw a pick six, and that kind of turned the whole game when he threw that pick six. And actually, you really have to know your stuff to know who got the pick six because he ended up playing for the Raiders and actually had a good year at cornerback.
What was the question? Say it.
So he was with the Redskins, and what position was he?
He's a corner.
D'Angelo.
He ended up having one really good year with the Raiders as well.
Oh no! Say it again. What year was this?
2013 against the Redskins. He had a pick six.
And he played for the Raiders. And he played for the Raiders after that.
Yeah, he had one really good year for the Raiders. It
wasn't David Emerson, was it?
It was David Emerson. He had a pick six that game against us.
I love David Emerson. I loved him before he went down to injury. He came back and teams just figured him out, right?
Yeah. He what happened was in 2015, the Redskins cut him because he was terrible the first 2 games, right? And then he played the rest of the year for us, and he was amazing. He was basically the best corner in the league.
He was
that year. And then
probably
yeah,
probably the next best corner that we've had since Nnamdi Asomugha since then.
yeah, and then in 2016 he was pretty average. And then in 2017, I think we cut him. I think he was terrible after the first 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
And they
Because
got
we
rid
were
of him.
banking on him and Sean Smith to be the guys, and we thought I remember before the season we thought we finally found a number 1 and number 2 corner, and it just didn't work out, right?
Yeah, Smith couldn't run. He was like almost like at that point in his career, he should have almost been a safety. Like he really couldn't run any. And I remember they showed that when he was in zone, he was still okay. But do you remember again Sean Smith's first game in 2016? We played the Saints.
Yeah,
and I think it was Brandon Cooks caught like a 98 yard touchdown pass.
Burnt toast.
Yeah, he was just like he couldn't run anymore, you know. And Smith was a big physical corner, and he was never the fastest guy anyhow. And then once he lost that half a step, he was just that was it. You know, it was
because when we signed him, he was actually a pretty heralded free agent. Like everyone thought, like, wow, like we finally got a secondary cornerback room we could be proud of. I mean, we had him, we had David Amerson, we had TJ Carey in the slot, who I think TJ Carey did a decent job. And I think was that DJ Hayden's final year with us or 2015?
That might have been. We also signed.
So hang on,
2016. We had the safety from the Bengals, Reggie Nelson, right?
Oh, that's right. So DJ Hayden was the nickel corner, like who actually he never worked out on the outside, but when he got moved to nickel, he was actually pretty decent in his final year for us.
Well, he was another guy again. He obviously never met his draft status, but he played. He had a pretty decent NFL career in terms of at least he got 8 or 9 years out of his career. You know, like
right.
You know,
he didn't work out on the outside, but as a nickel guy and a depth guy, he did okay.
Yeah, like my opinion is okay. Maybe he's a bust as a first round pick, but you can end up getting 9 years in an NFL career. Stu can tell you that's pretty good. You know, like one way or the other.
I know.
You know, so
I know. Like, look, rest in peace to DJ Hayden. Very unfortunate to hear of his passing 2 weeks ago. I actually did like a little tribute on one of my lives to DJ because I at one point I had his jersey. He still has a place in my heart. Like, yeah, you're right. He didn't for where we drafted him. He didn't pan out to be the outside guy we were looking for. But it's like I said, when we moved him to nickel in his final year as a Raider, like he was actually pretty decent. You know what I mean? And he was a short tackle
for the Jags. So, well, the thing about him was and this is in fairness to him being overdrafted. That 23-13 draft. Remember, we traded down that year, and then we
traded down, yes.
And the Finns took that defensive lineman who bombed out. He was a bust. That 2013 draft is one of the worst drafts.
Was it Cam Jordan?
Cam Jordan, yeah. That 2013 NFL draft is one of the worst NFL drafts of the last 30 years. Like it was just there just wasn't the talent in that draft. So
was that Cam Newton's first year?
I think no. Eric Fisher was the first overall pick that year. That's what I mean. Like Eric Fisher.
Right, yes. And he was bad, wasn't he? He was pretty bad.
Yeah, he was an average tackle. Lou Jokel he was a bust for the Jags. Lane Johnson was taken by
Central Michigan guy.
Yeah. Because if you go look at, we were talking about missing on those first round picks. I used to be a draft nerd. If you go look at first round picks, essentially half of the first round guys taken. Now, this does not mean they're Pro Bowl players the whole career, but half of them make at least one Pro Bowl during their career, right? But that 2013 draft, for example, only like 6 or 7 guys made Pro Bowls during their career. It was a really, really poor draft. Like EJ Manuel was the only quarterback taken that draft in the first round. It was a really poor draft, probably the best.
It's just a bit of history.
The best player taking that draft was DeAndre Hopkins, so.
A bit of personal history. Like my first foray into doing any content creating within the Raiders was actually that year. I did draft reactions to every player that we picked that year.
Oh, really?
That's how long ago it was when I was very inconsistent since then, but that was my first foray into doing greater content creating, was reacting to the draft picks that year. But we actually got 2 guys from that class that were actually halfway decent. One of them was C.O. Moore. You remember C.O. Moore?
Yeah. Seal Moore was a halfway decent outside linebacker.
Yeah, I loved his energy. I thought he was he was pretty good as a linebacker until like that hip injury, and then he just fell off from there. But
Stu,
that was the year we drafted Latavius Murray. Remember?
Murray, yeah. And Murray's had a great career. 6th round pick. He's still in the league.
Still in the league. Still in the league. Had some very good years with him.
One of the funniest things you ever seen. Actually, that's the last article I had in Raider Greats. So what I do is I write an article on a player every week, like an old player, and then I write like whoever the opponent is the upcoming week. I'll go back and review like an old classic game against that upcoming opponent. So the game I did was the game in 2014 when we beat them. When the Raiders were 0-10 going into that game. And remember at the end of the game, Seal Moore sacked Alex Smith. Stu, you got to see this. Seal Moore sacks Alex Smith at the end of the game, and him and Khalil Mack start doing this and like giving each other high fives.
Sack dance deep inside.
And fucking Alex Smith is running to the line to take the snap. And these two idiots are like 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage celebrating. And luckily,
do you remember Justin Tuck? How mad he was?
Justin Tuck called the timeout.
And he threw off his helmet and he's screaming at Khalil Mack and Sierra Moore. You can see if you pay attention to Justin Tuck, you can see him screaming like, "You fucking idiots, get back over here!" And then he starts calling timeout. He takes off his helmet and starts throwing it around and shit. It was so bad.
It's so ridiculous.
Alex Smith is a wiener. That dude is a dork.
Yeah, but man, that
dork.
To come back from that injury is pretty amazing. Like, I don't know if you
what was the injury?
Dude, it's like he almost got his leg amputated. So he snapped his leg in two.
Who are you talking about?
Kind of like Joe Theismann did when he was with Washington. And then it was
Alex
so
Smith
bad.
Alex Smith was with Washington too then, wasn't he, or no?
Yeah. Dude, it's the same day. It was the same day that Joe Theismann broke his leg. Like it was like November. It was J.J. Watt that hit Alex Smith, right? But it wasn't a bad hit. He was kind of sliding, and he ran into his leg, and it snapped it. And he almost lost his leg. He lost like half his leg, and they had to replace it with all these stem cells and stuff.
Didn't he almost die?
Yeah, he almost died. Like got infected, and he almost died. Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
I heard about that.
And he came back and played the next like 2-3 years later. He came back and the Washington made the playoffs. So it wasn't.
Well, it was his clone, right?
It was his clone.
Yeah.
So. And after they went to the playoffs, he just retired. He just said, "I just wanted to prove I could come back," and that was it. So. But dude, the documentary is so disgusting. I had to look away. It was like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't like watching that. That's
But respect to Alex Smith. I can respect that. I can respect.
No. He had a successful career, but I mean, I had a chance because he was good friends with Kirk Morrison, and we had a coach, Martin Bayless, who was from San Diego, and we always go down to San Diego during the off season and do it like a high school camp or whatnot. And Alex Smith would be there, and I was a guy that liked to have a good time, and I'd always try to like talk to Alex, and he was like, I'm like, all right, dude, I guess whatever, I just couldn't, I just couldn't vibe with the guy.
Stu, who to me was a dork? You played against him your last year in the league. Or do you remember Brody Croyle? He's a backup quarterback for the Chiefs. He never won a game. He was like a 0-10 as a starter.
Was he number 8?
1 second.
Why do I have 8 in my head or 7?
Let me go.
That was our record, 0-10, going into that Chiefs game.
He was number Brody Croyle was the same number as Smith. He was number 12.
Okay. No. Hold on. Let me.
Do you remember we lost 10 straight before that Chiefs game you were talking about?
Oh, dude! Not only that, no, we lost 16 straight because they lost the last 6 of the year before.
Going back from
there you are.
Right, yeah.
Another Alabama quarterback who didn't do anything.
Oh, Brody Croyle, yeah.
And it was Derek Carr and Khalil Mack's first win as a Raider.
Yeah, 2014 game. Remember, it was like pissing down rain, and it slowed down the Chiefs' offense. And you're like, Latavius Murray had
Marcel
like a 90
Reese popped off.
Yeah.
90-yard run. Yep, I remember.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. No, I remember. Like, to be honest, man, that might have been the most happy I've been about a Raider game. Happy about a win in 20 years, last 20 years, just because, after 16 straight losses,
Can I be honest with you? Like, there's only been 2 real emotional moments for me as a Raider fan that I've had, like where I was brought to tears. I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy to admit that. One was the Divine Interception game, post Al Davis. You know what I mean? And the other one was actually that game. You know what I mean? Like I teared up. You know what I mean? Like, with all things considered, like we went, like you said, we lost 16 straight, and then seeing the team kind of come together in a group, huddle in a group prayer, like it brought out a lot of emotions that day. Like, you know what I mean?
What game?
Because it was a rough ride for so long.
2014, they played the Chiefs on a Thursday night, and the Raiders were 0-10, and they had lost the last 6 the year before, so they had 16 straight losses. Right. It was Carr and Max.
They were 0-16 at that time. Okay.
So basically, they basically had lost a full season worth of games.
But what was also heartbreaking is that year we were losing so many games where we were right in it. Do you remember we almost beat the Patriots, the Super Bowl winning Patriots, if not for a bullshit call that called Darren McFadden back, which was a surefire touchdown for a bullshit hold which never happened. Remember that?
2014.
Yeah,
Stu, go look at the second or third game.
2014 Raiders versus Chiefs.
Yeah, that's the win. And then against the Patriots, that's week 2 or 3. They lost 16 to 9.
Super Bowl winning Patriots.
Yeah, they lost 16 to 9.
What game are you talking about, Afakasi?
That he cried the Chiefs
Oh, we were talking about the Chiefs game. Yeah,
I just remember being relieved and happy, like, because I just wanted to get a win,
I was pretty emotional that
probably in the last 20 plus years. The 3 times I got really excited over a win was the 2002 AFC Championship game, right? A game that Stu played in where they beat Denver in the snowstorm.
Oh, dude, I actually just rewatched that game.
That's such a great game.
Dude,
yeah.
The 2 catches that Jerry Porter had, and then Ronald Curry's catch.
The one-hander by Curry, that was
that the Ronald Curry catch game?
The very first Jerry Porter catch. Dude, he had 3 touchdowns on Champ Bailey in the snow, but he made that adjustment like this, and I mean, dude, he had great catches, and then but that catch with Ronald Curry where he jumps up, and I mean he's got to have at least a 43-inch vertical and catches the ball with one hand and brings it down while getting hit by Wilson, the linebacker, and makes the catch. And we won that game it was a Sunday night game. It was complete.
And to do it in such heavy snow as well, that is crazy.
And Stu, do you also remember that game? We're talking about all these guys. You had a safety. I think you're still a backup, right? It was your rookie year, right?
In 2004?
Yeah, and what set up that game-winning drive and touchdown was Marcus Anderson stuffed a Broncos running back. I think it was Reuben Drones or somebody like that.
Marcus Anderson, a safety from UCLA, drafted high by the Green Bay Packers, and we picked him up off waiver or free agency. Was the hardest.
I think it was waivers because he didn't.
Hardest hitting safety hardest hitting football player I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I remember he smashed on a third and long.
I'm telling you, this guy, he was only about probably 5'10", maybe. But I remember I have a quick story on him first because it's my first NFL football game after preseason. We're on the road against Pittsburgh, and he was my roommate. And, we got there on Friday because it was 2 time zones away, and he was up literally all night on his laptop, and I'm trying to sleep. And all I hear is till like 6 a.m. And I'm just like, dude, this is my first NFL game. I need rest. But I'm like, okay, it's Friday. I can sleep all day Saturday. Again, Saturday night, he's up all night because he had like these businesses he was running and stuff, right? And I'm like, oh my God, dude. But I remember specifically, he had a lot of hits where he literally like would just put his head down and hit somebody, and we called him Thickback. That was our name for him, Thickback. But we're at San Diego that year in 2004, and they were beating us. So they put Lorenzo Neal at running back in the fourth quarter just to run the clock out.
Right?
Run
the ball out. Yeah.
I remember because that was my rookie year, so I usually only came in on like
nickel.
Yeah. So I'm on the sideline, probably at like, here's the 50. I'm over here at probably like the 35, like down here where the DBs were at. And they're down by, like on the 10-yard line, the Chargers 10-yard line, just running the clock out. Lorenzo Neal and him met helmet to helmet. It sounded literally like, like when two bowling balls hit, like that hump. Where I was from, you could hear it. He knocked out Lorenzo Neal cold. I mean, out. And he came up and just boom and hit him and just stood over him like this and just walked away. Lorenzo Neal, right? Big tough guy, neck roll.
Yeah. Best blocking fullback in the league.
I was just about to say, wasn't he a fullback?
Yes.
Yeah. But they were just running out the clock.
Marquise Anderson. Right, I mean, Afakasi. I'm talking in, what was it? Whatever. Can't remember the name of the stadium. Jack Robbie or whatever the hell it was back then. The whole, like, the sound of two bowling balls echoed through the stadium. Like, what the fuck? Lorenzo Neal, like, it took him, like, I think 5 or 6 minutes for him to wake up. Like, we thought he was dead. But Marquise Anderson, I'm telling you, was that dude, you do not want to meet him in the hole, man. But that game he's talking about, it was Reuben Drones, Reuben Drones is a running back that I give a lot of respect to from Oregon. Played for Denver, played for the Cleveland Browns, played for the Lions. He was a running back that he was tough to bring down. And that game he's talking about, Marquise Anderson, I think 2 or 3 times met him. And I mean, instant, like when he got hit, just hit, all of his body functions just stopped and just the ball would just drop. But Marquise Anderson, man, he's actually a guy I'd like to get back a hold of. But as far as when I watch highlights of guys knocking people out and big hits, there's no one, I don't think there's a harder hitter in the history of the NFL than Marquise Anderson. Seriously. Like, and he, like, how sometimes guys hit and they both get knocked out? Marquise Anderson was never phased, not once. And he is literally putting people on stretchers. Like like
I said, I remember that year that him he set up the game-winning drive by stuffing Reuben Drones, the running back.
Reuben Drones, on
like a 3rd and 1, he stuffed him. I remember that. So
I'm telling you that guy. I mean, I've seen highlights of Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Ronnie Lott and Jack Tatum and these guys. I'm telling you, Marquise Anderson, I don't know if his neck was made of like steel or something, because he would hit these guys and then he's just nothing. I mean, he never saw stars, nothing.
To expand on Anthony's for that 2016 season, my most memorable game personally that year was the first game. So, Stu, the Raiders, it was like a back and forth shootout. And the Saints, and the Raiders went for 2 at the end of the game, to go up by 1.
Yeah.
It was actually a good call by Del Rio because he said, we can't stop these guys, so we got to win it right here. And when they did that, I just had a feeling this team is going to be really good this year when they did that. So,
do you remember Jalen Rashad's run that game?
Yeah. He's from that area. He's from New Orleans area, and he went to school in Louisiana. And his first run in his NFL career is a 60-yard touchdown.
See, he's kind of the reason why I get pretty hard on, like, sorry to bring it back a little bit on Zamir White, because I mean, I remember guys like DeAndre Washington and even Jalen Rashad or
Oh, yeah,
UDFA
for
guy
sure.
who were at least to do some things in their first year or two. Zamir White ain't done nada. Anyways,
No,
sorry.
No, I totally agree. Especially running back is the easiest position to adjust to the NFL.
Oh
So,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's well, another guy that from Louisville, was it Michael Bush?
Michael Bush. Yeah.
If he doesn't have that terrible injury that he had, he was a tough, big fucking running back, dude. That dude was huge, man.
No, he had a really bad injury in
Probably,
college.
probably the
right?
best
Yeah.
spellback we've had on our roster outside of our feature backs. Like, he was a very good spellback. But
Yep.
Anthony Cornwell, the game you're talking about, was that the Buccaneers game?
No,
You're
no,
saying
I'm
that
talking
when we
about
won the
the
nice game of the
Saints game.
season?
Saints game, the first game of the year.
Yeah, I know that's what you're talking about. But remember, Cornwell said like he got emotional after our 9th win that season, and I'm asking you if that was the
That
one,
might have been
the
the
week where we
Bucks
beat the
game.
Buccaneers.
The overtime
Yeah,
game.
because that was a very good game too.
Yeah, that was Carr had like 500 yards game. And Stu, I know because like Stu is
Yeah,
not the biggest
Seth
Carr
Roberts
fan.
came up clutch in the end.
But if you watch Carr that year, just the way he throws the ball, it's totally different than what he's played ever since. You know,
What are you
He
talking
was
about? What?
amazing that year.
just the way the Carr threw the ball in 2016. Like Carr does a lot of these lofty, crappy, like
Yeah, but no, I will say this. I've seen that. That's the
Hey, I
thing.
got it. I was right. It was a Buccaneers game.
That's the thing that always frustrated me about Carr is I've seen him make some passes where I'm like, holy shit. And then I've seen him make some passes where I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? Like one minute he could be a league MVP, and then the next you're like,
that's what he did this week for the Saints. He was
like
a classic
literally just like that. You're like,
Well, let me put it this way, Stu. There was a reason why during that course of the season, the Oakland Coliseum were chanting MVP at Derek Carr. Do you remember the scenes when Derek Carr, when he injured his hand and then he came back with the cast on his thumb, and the whole Coliseum was chanting MVP, MVP. You know what I mean? Like, that's how good of a season he was having.
I mean, I believe it because I saw, like, that's what made it so frustrating was I'm watching a guy who could be a league MVP, and then all of a sudden I see him make a play, and I'm like,
Stu, you should watch this
I don't
week.
get it. Like, I'm like, I don't like
His Saints
where
game.
did that come from?
His Saints
Like,
game
what
this
the
week was
hell?
totally like that. He was throwing it up and down the field.
Do you remember when he dove over the player on that game? Derek Carr, do you remember when he did the somersault?
That was that first game I'm talking about. That was the New Orleans game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you remember that same game? He did a somersault over one of the Saints defenders for a first
Well,
down.
I specifically remember 2 years ago when it was with Kansas City, and it was when they honored Charles Woodson before the game, right, for being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and they had I think there was 8 or 9 former Raiders Hall of Famers that were there, and the whole stadium had 24, and I remember we were still somewhat in the game, and it was like the third quarter. And I remember being in the alumni suite and all the Hall of Famers up there. Specifically, I remember Tim Brown up there, and like he throws this ball like it's a Hail Mary, but it wasn't even close to a Hail Mary. And McGraw picks it off for Kansas City, and we're going like the whole.
Dude, was that when they were honoring Tim Brown?
No, Charles Woodson.
Charles Woodson, yeah.
They're honoring Charles.
Do you remember that season? Do you remember when they inducted Tim? That they did like they did a week where they honored Tim Brown getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, and they did like at halftime they had 2 players reenact the 100-yard run by Tim Brown or something like that. Was it Tim Brown?
That was probably during the time that I wasn't involved with the NFL.
This happened recently. It happened like when at halftime they were honoring they reenacted the play where it was like a 99-yard touchdown catch and run. And I was just gonna say, do you know who played the part? I think it was Tim Brown or Cliff Branch who was it that
Wait.
Cliff Branch touchdown was Cliff Branch. That he had a 99-yard touchdown. Tim Brown
never played with Tim
Sorry,
Brown.
all right. So it was Cliff Branch. They reenacted the 99-yard touchdown. You know who it was who played the part of Cliff Branch?
Who?
Wait, what year was this?
Kobe Ford.
Jacoby Ford?
Let me guess.
Yeah, it's Jacoby Ford.
That was this year. You know why? I know that's this year. They did that. You said it's
Yeah.
recently, right? No, I remember
Yeah,
Jacoby
recently.
Ford being there. It was because
What do you mean they reenacted? What do you mean?
because it was the 20th. The 40th anniversary of Cliff Branch getting that 99-yard touchdown.
Oh,
That was in
okay, right. Yeah,
that was in 1983 against Washington. So I didn't know they did that.
Right.
So who played Plunkett?
Yeah, but how did they reenact it?
Well, they had someone throw the ball to Jacoby Ford, who has the speed to be able to reenact like the play. You know what I mean? But it was very interesting that it was Jacoby Ford who played the part of Cliff Branch. Very fitting.
Followed
If you ask me.
Jacoby Ford on Twitter, and I remember seeing him having that 21 jersey on at a halftime of a show. I didn't know that's what he was doing, though. I remember seeing that.
I saw that too. I saw his Instagram stories, and I was like, "Oh wow!" Like, you know, it was actually Jacoby. Like, very fitting though, right? You know, being that like he's not in the league anymore, but he's still, you know, he's not like older to the point where he can't like, you know, show some wares.
Oh, and he didn't play that long, so I don't think he's got too much wear and tear on him either. You know, so
right.
Jacoby Ford, I met him at one of the games when I went out 2 years ago. Good dude, man. Great
Love
dude.
that guy. Love that guy.
Great personality. Great dude. Great player. He was
another guy. He had a bad foot injury. I think it was in
Yes.
2011, and he just kind of never recovered from that. You know,
I think it was 2012. He had his foot injury.
Yeah, those foot injuries.
2011 on a Sunday night.
2011 or 2012.
2011, a Sunday night game. I remember it. It was against the.
Oh, okay. Right.
It was against the Chargers on Sunday night. He caught a long pass, and it kind of got rolled up underneath him. And yeah, he was never this. I think he tried to come back in 2012, and it wasn't the same. You know?
Yeah, but do you remember that game against the Chiefs in 2010?
I was at that game.
Yeah, do you remember that third down play where he jumped over Brandon Flowers and snatched it out of his hands, which should have been a surefire interception? And Brandon Flowers was a Pro Bowl caliber
that was the play that set up the field goal to tie the game.
Yes.
And then in overtime, he caught a bomb that set up the game.
He had another clutch catch. Yes. Yes.
And dude, the first half of that
game, over that game,
it was like either 10 or 13-0 for the Chiefs, the first half of that game. And it was like the worst first half I've ever seen. Like the Raiders could not do anything. They had like 40 yards of offense. It was horrible, you know? So, that was actually, I think, the last Raider game I went to, because what happened was I moved in 2011 and then they tanked at the end of the year. And I didn't have time to go to a game. And then when they stunk in 2012, I said, I'm not going to a game until the Raiders have 2 winning seasons in a row, because I'm not wasting my money until they're good again. And they have never had 2 winning seasons in a row since then.
They were expected to be bad 2012, 2013, because remember, we had no draft capital. Our salary cap. We were in salary hell. Yeah, we had. That's why, like, you know, I argue that, like, Josh McDaniels, with all things considered, was a lot worse than Dennis Allen, because Dennis Allen, when he took over, he was in charge of turning chicken salad out of chicken shit. You know what I mean? He had nothing to play with.
Well, I think they hired Allen kind of knowing he would probably in the last 2 or 3 years, because they had nothing and no one else wanted the job, really. Because any coach would have looked at the roster and the salary cap problems and no draft picks, like you said.
No draft capital.
Because, by the way, that's what's going to happen.
2012? Do you remember our draft? Do you remember our draft in 2012? We didn't have a pick in round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. The only reason we had a 3rd round pick was because the NFL, out of pity, gave us a compensatory pick at the end of round 3 because of our woeful cap situation, as well as like the fact that we didn't have any draft capital to try and turn things around. So out of pity, the league was like, all right, we'll give you a compensatory 3rd round pick.
That was
Tony Bergstrom.
And I actually think the guy we took that year wasn't that bad, to be honest.
No, he was bad. Bergstrom wasn't good.
No, he ended up being a pretty good guard for a few years. I do remember.
No, he wasn't good at all for any team. He wasn't good.
I'll go look at it right now.
Yeah, Bergstrom was.
Yeah, he was pretty. No, he was okay. He was mediocre, but yeah, he was like you said, definitely. Well, you know, he was a 3rd round pick. You're right.
Tony Bergstrom, Nathan Stupar, Christou Bilukidi, Jack Crawford,
Actually, see,
Jerron
there's one of the guys that I talked
Miles
about.
Barrett.
Jack Crawford was a good defensive tackle.
I know he
and
went on to be all right with the Cowboys. And here's another bit of tidbits you might not know about. I was watching. Have you ever? Do you watch? Did you ever watch the new TV show, The Rock, Young Rock?
No.
Okay, all right. So there's a TV show based on the Rock and like his life, growing up in the wrestling business, right?
Yeah.
Do you know who Triple H is? The wrestler Triple H?
Hunter
of
Hearst
course.
Helmsley.
Yeah, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Yes. So in the TV show, they had an actor playing Triple H, and when I looked at the actor, I was like, his face looks familiar. Why does his face look so familiar to me? Guess who he was?
Jack Crawford.
Played by. No. But he was part of that 2012 draft class.
Thinking Jack Crawford's a black guy,
Linebacker.
white guy.
Linebacker, white guy.
Miles Burris.
Miles Burris, yes.
Yeah, Miles Burris was one of those guys who had a good year or two and then never developed into anything. Yeah,
Right, but he went on to acting, and he played, like I said, like I highlighted, he went on to he played Triple H in the
him
Young
being
Rock
a bit of
TV show.
a pretty boy. I remember him being kind of a good-looking dude.
Yeah, he's a
so-
good-looking dude. He's got a square jaw, nice hair.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not afraid to say it. He's a good-looking dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. He was. I remember that. So, I know. I remember him like at the end of that season in 2013. He looked like he was going to become a half decent linebacker, and then, like you said, he never did anything. Right. So, well, Jack Crawford, he was really raw too. He's British. Jack Crawford, right? And
I think that was Christian Billy wasn't that Billy Keaty who was British?
No. Jack Crawford is born in London. Go look him up.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And he was really, but he was supposedly like the strongest guy in the league. Like he could just throw guys around and stuff. So, like I said, yeah, he did it for a 5th round pick. Yeah, he did about what a 5th round pick did. He had a couple nice years.
I think that the guy who ended up having the most storied career from that draft class, who did absolutely nada for us, was actually the 7th round guy, Nathan Stupar.
Yeah, Stupar. Yeah. I remember.
He did nothing for us, but he was in the league for a long time. I think with the Falcons and the Titans.
Yeah. No. I remember him. He played. Yeah. He ended up playing until 2019 for the. You're right, and he. I think he was like kind of like a backup linebacker for New Orleans and the Falcons. I'm looking at his career. Yeah.
Right.
No,
but when you look at that draft class as a full stop for what they did for us, I think outside of the 2020 class, when it comes to production, that was probably the least productive.
Yeah, that was
for a while.
Yeah, I can't remember 2013. Obviously, we had Hayden. I can't even remember.
DJ Hayden, C.O. Moore, Latavius Murray, Malik Watson. What's his name? I was just saying it. Tyler Wilson.
What happened with Moore though? I don't know if you remember him. He just turned into an asshole one year, right?
He fell out with. Remember Del Rio? He fell out with Del Rio, and then they ended up cutting him.
And then he went somewhere and didn't do anything there. He just like, I don't know. He went to the Colts and didn't do anything.
He had a hip injury. He never really came back from.
Yeah, he never came back from it.
All right, guys, I gotta get my son on the school bus.
I gotta go too, man. I want to go to sleep. I want to go back to bed for an hour.
You motherfuckers. You guys. I'm sure you
get a rabbit hole we went on, but thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Hey, no, thank you, everyone. Thanks for pulling up Avocasi. Thank you, David. I will sometime today do the rest of my breakdown of the Kansas City game, but love everybody. Go Raiders.
Just break down the first quarter.
I'm halfway through the second quarter, so I'm getting closer.
Okay.